Tenma stands with his classmates for the awakening ceremony, right in front of the northern commander, Menu Izumi. This is the legendary leader who trained the strongest hero, the light of humanity. Student after student steps up, but they all fail to awaken. Ironically, the loud, heavy bully of the class actually awakens a real skill. Tenma shoves the bully out of the way, stepping up with absolute determination. Instantly, the northern commander's the monolith bursts open with a massive blue lotus, and Tenma gains a secret skill called Overmimesis, letting him copy any enemy ability and instantly build a perfect counter. It is basically like having overpowered Maharaga abilities. Naturally, the jealous bully snaps, but in a flash, Tenma appears right behind him like a ghost, paralyzing the kid with a wave of pure terror. The bully collapses right onto the floor. With his analysis finished, Tenma unlocks Thunderwave, pulling them into a mini load. Every single adaptation transforms him into a complete monster with a broken new ability. But get ready, things instantly go sideways. A colossal monolith drops straight from the sky, crushing the Institute. Even with Menu Izumi, this kind of drop means a powerful disaster beast is coming, sending the crowd into a total panic. But Tenma is way too angry to run away. He steps up, ready to handle this threat completely alone. Honestly, he feels pretty lucky that his very first opponent is the exact type of monster that took his mother away. So for him, today is a happy day, and yeah, he is saying this directly to a burning skeleton soldier. With his fresh powers unlocked, our guy decides it is time for a quick field test. Activating Thunderwave, he blurs forward like lightning to confront the beast. The fiery skeleton, but Tenma is just too fast, dodging the attack with ease and slamming a brutal fist into the giant skeleton. He refuses to stand by and watch anyone else die to these monsters. That single strike crashes the massive beast straight to the dirt, leaving all of his watching class staring at Tenma's ridiculous power. They start to wonder if they even need to run away anymore. A total weakling just minutes ago can now launch a level 8 Calamity Beast straight through a solid wall. Even the supervisor is shocked, because Tenma's raw power completely breaks the scale of any normal level 0 user. Yet even with that strength, defeating this skeleton should be impossible. The creature has two incredibly dangerous skills. First is its massive, unbreakable defense. And second, it is activating a deadly skill called Bonefire, a blazing wall of blue fire that instantly turns anything it touches to ash. While Tenma's friends panic, that annoying bully is actually grinning, celebrating his doom. It looks like game over, but honestly, he's just getting started. Channeling his inner copy ninja, Tenma calmly begins analyzing the blue flames. Even better, he realizes the gorgeous instructor watching this can't believe her own eyes, because not even a high-tier level 10 hero should survive a direct hit from that deadly fire. Honestly, the heat is literally melting the skin off his bones. You can actually see his ribs as his body burns, but he stands there without showing even a hint of fear. All he remembers is his mother, who was taken by these exact same brutal flames. Meanwhile, the supervisor, looking like a half-burned zombie, this absolute savage promises to delete the skeleton soldier from existence. Seriously, I have never seen a scene look this metal. His classmates feel terrible for constantly underestimating him. A few of them notice the blue lotus glowing once again, a clear sign that a miracle is about to drop. Even with his body burning, Tenma activates his fresh skill and constructs the black ice wall, a powerful shield that freezes over his skin to completely block fire attacks. Instantly, the system triggers and fully heals him, keeping him from being completely reduced to ashes by those. He knows a single attack won't put this monster down, but with his stats boosted to heaven, he can. The beautiful blue petals wrap around his body, fully restoring his health to absolute perfection. His classmates are cheering like crazy, completely stunned because this guy is moving like Gojo inside Sukuna's domain. Even the teacher is totally starstruck by that incredible healing ability. I mean, he literally just threw a massive lightning attack too. One thing is pretty clear, this kid is built different. That recovery process is insane, making everyone wonder if he can regrow body parts or even regenerate his. But there's no time to think because that pissed off skeleton soldier just unleashed another massive wave of blaze. Except this time, our boy immediately covers his entire body in a thick, metallic layer of pure ice. Those searing blue flames can't even touch this ice armor, meaning he's basically completely immune to the heat now. Cutting straight through the fire, he lunges forward like a literal god of destruction. He easily dodges the skeleton's wide slash, shaping that ice armor into a massive sword extending straight from his arm. Honestly, the guy looks like a final boss and we're only getting started. Tenma swings that building-sized blade, slicing the skeleton monster clean in half like a Kit Kat. His movements are way too fast for the human eye to track. The fight ends. As his ice armor melts away, Tenma brags about finally unlocking the ultimate skill for both. Afterward, his friends run up, and Rookie immediately gives him a massive hug. Seo didn't show up. Our boy wonders if he somehow made her mad, while the supervisors just stand there in absolute shock. A regular Rookie just took down a Calamity Beast so powerful that even a level 100 Awakener couldn't beat it. Mino tells Cha to clean up this disaster and inform the principal that this genius Rookie is coming with them. Tenma's best friend is totally hyping him up for looking like a god out there, just as Meno walks over to talk. The other students are buzzing, realizing that the legendary Mino might actually try to take this guy on as— Remember, this is the same master who raised the strongest hunter alive, Jin Taewa, so his standards are incredibly high. His buddy quickly runs off to give them some privacy, while Meno praises the young talent for his truly spectacular performance. Tenma doesn't really get what he means. But Mino has already spotted the deep, burning hatred and rage buried inside the boy's heart. He is incredibly curious about what made him so deeply resentful. That is when Tenma shares his tragic and heartbreaking— Exactly 10 years ago, he was seconds away from becoming monster food when a powerful awakener stepped in. Sadly, his mother burned right in front of him. Those cursed blue flames completely consumed her. Her final words told him to walk his journey with conviction. Ever since, the boy has lived with nothing but he wanted to slaughter them all, promising to wipe out the demon of ruin and his kind. Even now, that old rage boils over, causing Tenma to cry, a strange detail that Mino immediately picks up on. It's wild, but his left eye can't cry anymore, while his right eye tears up all alone. A strange condition that started the exact night he lost his mother. Moved by his tragic story, Mino offers to take Tenma under his wing, promising to place him in the ultimate— We are talking about the Savior League, an elite group built solely to hunt calamity beasts using the— Basically, it's a specialized army designed for one thing: slaying monsters. Members are known as saviors, and they're given top-tier gear, unlimited resources, and prime training. Even a trainee savior makes 10,000 gold a month, and honestly, in this economy, I'd sign up for just 200. But of course, that kind of sweet payout comes with some massive expectations. Saviors must deploy to fight calamity beasts whenever the call comes in, serving as humanity's absolute shield. Honestly, Tenma doesn't care about the cash at all. He just wants to slaughter monsters for the love of the game. He's basically trying to become the Doomslayer. Accepting the offer, he learns the league's next exam is in February. Everyone earns points based on performance, but only the top 100 candidates will actually survive the cut. Naturally, our boy asks about the highest score ever recorded. Meno reveals the peak record is 115,000 points, set by the absolute strongest, Jin Taewa. Nobody has touched that record for 11 years, and hitting even 50% of it easily guarantees a first-place finish. Tenma highly respects the guy, seeing him as humanity's brightest light and most terrifying weapon. But Menu warns him that comparing his own talent to Jin Taewa is foolish because that guy is in an entirely different league. Even so, our boy has got a massive Isagi-level ego and fully plans to smash that record. It instantly reminds him of a past chat with his student, Tiwajin, who promised that someone would eventually surpass his genius. It feels like a brand new legend has arrived to replace the old, carrying that exact jaw-dropping potential right in front of him. They soon arrive at the massive stone monuments, which are responsible for opening up portals between the two worlds. Just slaying beasts is not enough, as they have to destroy the monuments too, or the monsters will keep spawning forever. The structure right before them was constructed specifically to isolate and preserve these highly dangerous— It keeps the calamity beasts locked inside, turning the monuments into perfect, controlled training tests for— The Savior League officially calls this place a stage, filled with creatures that are considered entirely— Because of this, helpless rookies get absolutely slaughtered in these stage training grounds, earning them the nickname. Jin Taewa set the legendary record by clearing this stage in just 3 minutes, so Menu wants our boy to beat it in. Only then will Menu actually accept him as his official disciple. And honestly, you can feel the hype building here as Menu walks around with his newest rookie. Bystanders are already comparing this kid to the legend of their strongest warrior. They simply cannot wrap their heads around him walking shoulder to shoulder with Menu himself. While the crowd gossips, our boy focuses on checking the actual disaster level. This stage is level 10, which is 2 ranks higher than the skeleton soldier, making him wonder what. Seeing their shock, Tenma wonders. Why is everyone acting like a total normie who never fought? Approaching the reception desk, he requests entry, but when the clerk asks about his team, our boy calmly states. Awkward silence immediately fills the room. The clerk takes this as total disrespect, assuming he is just hitting on her. Our guy walked straight into anti-Riz terror. Tenma has absolutely no clue what is happening, while the onlookers mock him for acting like some arrogant hotshot. Trying to clarify, he explains his goal again, insisting that he is not trying to hit on her. He just wants to enter the stage, but the receptionist behaves like a queen, assuming he is only. She is even willing to give him her phone number just to keep this fool from getting himself killed. Thoroughly annoyed, Tenma warns her that he will not repeat himself a third time, having zero interest. All he truly cares about is clearing his mission. Terrified by his cold look, she quickly processes his request, muttering that his death is on him. Nearby guys think he is a total idiot for rejecting her number just to play the tough guy act. Here is the catch. Any rookie challenging a level 10 stage is basically asking to get slaughtered because the power gap is that massive. But a few onlookers are genuinely curious about Tenma's unique gift and how he will use it to survive. Unfortunately, despite his powerful gift, his level is still flat 0, meaning in their eyes, he is already a walking. Tuning out the noise, Tenma scans his identification bracelet at the gate, gaining instant access to the stage. With all the boring paperwork finally out of the way, he stretches, ready to throw hands as the timer begins. He lunges forward like a beast. He quickly realizes this artificial stage is absolutely massive, and for his very first monster encounter, but our boy slaughters the creature with one clean sword slash. Thanks to his ice morphing powers, he can easily manifest a battle axe or any other weapon for any situation. With one Kadama sliced in half, a horde of hungry tree monsters surrounds him, looking like a horrific. Outside, Aya strongly objects to this harsh trial planned by her father. There are plenty of easier stages for rookies to challenge, yet her father sent Tenma to the absolute toughest one. He is directly comparing their trial results. Even Aya believes that surpassing the ultimate warrior is completely impossible since his limits go way beyond humanity. To her, Jin Taewa seemed friendly and approachable at first, until she watched him slay a level 97 calamity. She met his cold, calculating gaze eyes that belonged to a god. It is as if this guy has completely transcended humanity to become a literal deity. That might be true, but Menu argues that Tenma has that exact same potential, even if it takes a while. While Jin stands as a godlike savior for mankind, Tenma feels more like a demon driven by pure hatred. Back inside the arena, our guy easily tears the entire Kadama group to shreds. Too bad his Misu's power is so high, it does not even recognize these weaklings as targets to scan. Out of nowhere, he gets that creepy feeling of someone standing right behind him, instantly swinging his blade to cut it down. Tenma starts to wonder if these disaster level 10 monsters are actually just complete pushovers. But that makes no sense, otherwise this dungeon would not be called the Rookie Graveyard. There has to be. The system detects a B rank skill called Self-Regeneration, kickstarting a deep analysis. Talk about an absolute nightmare. The fallen beast suddenly stands right back up, slamming him with massive wooden vines. Even after getting sliced wide open, the monster heals itself instantly. No wonder it is so hard to defeat. Facing a level 10 threat, Tenma invokes his black ice wall, coating his arm. His plan is simple: deal so much raw damage that the creature literally cannot regenerate anymore. He hacks away at the monster ruthlessly with his twin blades, while the analysis cycle continues to run in the background. A clean strike actually splits the creature's skull. Tenma loves every single second. He acts like the real monster here, slicing the beast so fast it looks like Sukuna's domain expansion. Finally, the beast completely explodes into pieces. That is a massive relief since Tenma is nearly out of mana after spamming his black ice. But hold on. The pieces pull back together, pulling a full perfect cell to completely heal itself from absolute dust. Annoyed, Tenma dodges every strike, shocked by its persistence. Fortunately, still, the battle is wearing him down. No more black ice, he has to save his mana. The only smart move is relying on pure agility and dragging this out until the scan finishes. And to make things even worse, His time is rapidly running out too. Realizing he has to risk it all, he triggers Thunderwave alongside his black ice wall for one final attempt. Tenma slices through the oncoming vines, intentionally forcing the beast to regenerate to trigger his analysis. Besides, he thinks that if he cannot even handle this, he might as well die since he would just be a fraud. Pouring his remaining strength into one final, desperate swing, Tenma targets the head, but his luck suddenly runs out. His energy hits zero, and the very next second, his body gets skewered with more holes than a block of Swiss. This is his absolute last stand as the Missus process hits completion, the only skill he has that costs 0. Once the countdown finishes, the blue lotus blooms once more, absorbing self-regeneration to unlock. Now the beast lunges forward, desperate to tear his body apart again. But Lotus Burst activates, turning the nearby mana into a massive, detonating explosion. Thanks to that, creature can only watch in absolute terror as our guy claps his hands, unleashing literal hell upon it. The blinding shockwave incinerates absolutely everything nearby, reducing the monster to piles of ash. By the end, Tenma is looking pretty battered from his own attack, but his ultimate. Keep in mind, he caused all this carnage using just a third of the mana he instantly recovered through Mimesis. From now on, minor mobs will be a joke to him. Plus, this skill is confirmed to restore both health and mana. Only a single shard remains of the beast, while the lobby outside descends into total chaos. The receptionist is panicking over the rookie, who went inside alone, begging the staff to send in a rescue squad. Even Aga assumed our boy would easily defeat a level 10 monster. The main challenge was always clearing the stage and Suddenly, the main terminal flashes with a brand new record, completely stunning everyone in the room. An 11-year-old record has just been shattered by Itsuki Tenma, who finished in exactly 2 minutes and 14 seconds. When he finally walks out, the guy looks like he just survived an active war zone. Every single hater is instantly. Tenma approaches Menu, asking if he has finally earned his official mentorship. Menu is genuinely impressed, giving his new disciple some rare praise. Agaya has almost never seen her fight. The crowd assumes Ayumi did all the heavy lifting to help his student shatter Jin's record, but they have it completely wrong. Our receptionist walks over, looking pretty embarrassed about how she acted earlier. She hands Tenma a special reward for setting the new record, catching him completely off guard. He does not even blame her for stressing out over a wild rookie tackling a high stage. His calm reply actually ends up flustering the lady. Seeing this, Agaya teases him, warning him not to get. Menu knows this current level is too easy for Tenma's talent, meaning they have to raise the stakes. For him, only advanced stages will do. But keep this in mind, those level numbers do not just measure a beast's threat. The real danger comes down to their species, because some are brainless, while others are actually smarter than most humans. Smart monsters are way harder to handle than standard beasts. When you think about it, both awakeners and monsters, humans rely on different classes to show their strength, whereas monsters have unique species to define theirs. Advanced stages are filled with smart monsters. Taking them down, even at matching levels, is incredibly. Next, stop District 4. He's finally starting to realize that up until now, he only killed garbage creatures that were too dumb to outplay him. Realizing that smart species feel pain makes Tenma ecstatic, completely obsessed with the idea of torturing them. He even unleashes a terrifying, murderous aura, absolutely thrilled to have found his next victims. The surrounding crowd goes wild, unable to stop gossiping about Jin's 11-year record getting shattered by. But wait until you see who is completely dominating these brutal stages in District 4. Plenty of challengers have entered these advanced stages only to vanish. Rumors claim a hidden killer is one guy blurts out Raji Kinoshida's name, while his panicked friend tries to keep him from getting murdered. Raji Kinoshita is the son of District 4's ward chief, a spoiled nepo baby who loves being served. Every stage in District 4 belongs to him. To him, waiting is only for garbage rookies. Opening up a chest, Tenma discovers a strange stone like the one from the stage, shocking Menu since it appears there is a massive difference between them. This one glows green, which completely stuns Agaya because it is considered an intermediate grade stone. Tenma asks what a karma stone actually is, learning it is essentially a condensed experience stone. Defeating monsters or slaughtering other awakeners generates karma, also known as experience. In this case, a karma stone already holds that concentrated energy, and absorbing it lets you boost your levels. But the real mystery here is how a karma stone naturally formed inside the stage. Menu, the master, speaks up, believing it must be connected to Tenma's unique gift. This leaves them both stunned, as the karma from a defeated target is supposed to flow directly to the victor. Yet, despite killing 2 massive disaster beasts, Tenma never leveled up, meaning he could not absorb. Menyu's theory is that all this time, the karma Tenma earned by slaying monsters was somehow absorbed by the. Inside the stage, it's different. With nobody else around to take it, and since he cannot absorb it himself, the raw karma forcefully solidified into a. Agaya is pretty worried that Tenma is stuck in a complete standstill, unable to level up. Her father quickly stops her from questioning Tenma about his skill, since it is a closely guarded secret. Anyway, Menyu suggests Tenma sell the stone to make some quick cash, as he has to leave for a meeting. Agaya will look after Tenma while he is gone, but the master leaves him with a few strict rules. First, Tenma must keep his discipleship an absolute secret, and second, he cannot reveal a single detail. Third, he must clear at least 6 advanced stages before his master returns. And finally, Tenma has total freedom to do whatever he wants with his power, because it is his alone. The rookie accepts these orders, and our scene shifts over to the northern district. A few awakeners are pretty frustrated about losing their spot, but Raji Kinoshida's personal guards are blocking the rookies talk some big game, trash-talking Raji Kinoshita as some rich, pampered brat who is going to get reported to. But apparently, this loudmouth pushed things way too far, because he gets slammed directly into the knee. This muscle freak gets hit with a sharp, B- rank earth spike. But the strike does absolutely 0 damage. His face turns into solid metal, leaving the blonde totally shocked. Takaru Oga grabs both his arms before headbutting the absolute crap right out of him, knocking him cold. A level 7 and level 8 awakener. Neither could do a single thing against Raji Kinoshida's personal guard. This brute is Takaru Oga, one of the. He is also a level 12 metal bender. This armored jerk warns the crowd that anyone disobeying Raji Kinoshida's direct. In fact, he won't even let anyone carry the wounded fighters away. He's fully planning to torture them, but his ally whispers to Takaru Oga to cool it since crowds are watching. Out of nowhere, someone gets blitzed with insane speed, their body fumbling straight into Tenma's arms. And of course, everyone watching is thinking, yep, this kid just signed his own death warrant. Even Takaru Oga calls him a fool for defying Raji Kinoshida's decree, throwing out one final warning. But Tenma Ida quickly reports this to the higher-ups. But Tenma is already preparing to handle it his way, remembering his master's advice to always follow his gut. He leaves the wounded with Ida, unleashing a terrifying aura for a level 0 hunter. Takaru Oga laughs, shocked this weak. Yet, he suddenly feels a strange, heavy pressure, making him wonder if Tenma has some hidden gift. But trusting his high rank, Takaru Oga still believes he holds all the cards. Then comes the shock. Tenma blitzes forward like a flash, slamming a heavy punch right into Takaru Oga's face. The whole crowd goes dead silent, unable to process the rookie's sheer speed. Luckily, Takaru Oga metallized his skin just in time to avoid a scratch. Coating his heavy arms in solid metal, Tenma dodges with ease. Knowing he just lost his single shot at a clean surprise attack on a high-rank fighter. Now he has to rely on Thunderwave and push it past its limits, forcing Tenma to activate his own metal form to survive. The skill has dangerous minus effects on his body, meaning Tenma can't hold back anymore and must go all out. Tenma knows basic strikes won't cut it, so he needs to find a gap in Takaru Oga's armor to deal real damage. He fires a high kick straight toward the jaw, but Takaru Oga easily blocks it, mocking the weakling's But this is exactly what Tenma planned. He is baiting Takaru Oga to read his speed, just to crank up Thunderwave to another level. Takaru Oga is completely caught off guard, witnessing a rare lightning element. This time, Tenma ramps. As the system analysis runs, the crowd slowly realizes that this level 0 kid is wielding multiple, leaving 0 openings. For Takaru Oga to harden his skin, he can only wonder how Tenma got such terrifying speed for a low rank. With a flurry of fists battering his body, he can't even shout a voice command to get his guards to help. Backed into a tight corner, Takaru Oga is forced to play his final, desperate trump card. And apparently, that card involves blowing off his shirt to show off a demonic back. Before going into ultimate shine, it is the very first time he's been pushed hard enough to rely on this skill. His metal armor gets a 50% defense boost, plus another 50% on top if he stands completely still. Honestly, we can basically say this massive brute has actual titanium balls at this point. Either way, Takaru Oga is thrilled about this power-up and decides to grant Tenma a quick death. With defensive power easily crossing level 12, the crowd wonders if any standard awakener can Tenma casually points out that Takaru Oga dumped all his points into defense, completely ignoring his mana pool. Takaru Oga tries to brush it off as complete trash, but deep down, he knows Tenma is completely right. Tenma simply reassures him that he has absolutely no intention of waiting for that mana to drain. No. He is ending this clash right now. A glowing blue lotus blooms, upgrading Tenma's power. The beautiful flower dazzles the crowd, even though nobody can guess how this pretty little thing will crush Metal Dick. Once finished, Tenma unlocks his clear orb piercing True Sphere, a broken defense ignoring skill that guarantees massive damage. But there is a catch: speed and range are quite slow, making it pretty easy to dodge. So Tenma has to time things perfectly to tear right through the ultimate defense Taru is so incredibly proud of. The moment the skill triggers, our boy gets a massive stat boost as he starts shaping the piercing orb. Even from afar, Tenma confidently dares his opponent to try and dodge this upcoming attack. And honestly, seeing him perform like this has everyone in the crowd wondering what he does next. The piercing orb creeps forward pretty slowly, and since it is quite tiny, getting hit seems almost— it looks so tiny. Metal Dick just stands there, ready to take the hit head on, completely dismissing Tenma's trump card. But as the sphere touches his arm, absolute horror washes over his smoke. It destroys his arm, completely. The limb explodes in a gory mess. Even after Tenma warned, our hero only targeted his arm to show some mercy, but he easily could have gone for a lethal shot instead. Teru screeches in agonizing pain as Tenma commands the nearby lackeys to carry this idiot to a hospital. They carry his crying self away as the day is saved by the Powerpuff Girls. Wait, my bad, wrong show. Suddenly, Tenma is the Academy's new hero, and everyone is begging to party up with him to easily clear. In fact, these dudes start throwing hands just to try and recruit him first. But our boy is way too busy celebrating his new skill, which can pierce defense monsters like Takaru himself. Plus, this orb has a neat effect: it gets faster after taking down enemies with higher defense than Tenma. Those two goons beg him to join their guild, but he outright rejects them, stating he works best alone. Of course, the crowd turns on him again, calling him an absolute idiot for trying to solo an advanced stage, just because— talk about a total attitude shift. And they are totally fine letting him die alone. Once they leave, Menu's daughter points out that the advanced monsters have this means our boy must watch his mana pretty closely. But Tenma is completely chill, and tells her not to stress, leaving her flustered since his death would Plus, Aga points out that while those stone beasts hunt in groups, they are pretty dumb, giving Tenma an easy chance to drain their mana. With a quick flash of his bracelet, he heads straight into the dungeon. Too many lizards. He did not expect this many rock beasts. Worse yet, their stats are way higher than anything he has ever faced before. A massive Colossus statue charges straight at him, so Tenma summons his piercing orb to crack their— and honestly, do those lotus petals look exactly like Roaios from Fate, or is it just me? Regardless, the orb slams directly into the statue, tearing a clean hole straight through its core, and killing. This trigger grants a 100% speed boost to his orb, which is a massive upgrade for Tenma. 3 terrifying statues lunge forward, but our boy channels his inner Killua, moving like actual lightning to blitz. He takes them out. Boom. But that massive explosive blow costs him another third of his remaining mana. Time to pull a hollow purple and obliterate them with his piercing orb. First, he swiftly dodges both statues, letting them crash into each other, before unleashing a monstrous— the sphere flies insanely fast this time, shattering both of the giant beasts in a single shot. Tenma collapses to the ground, totally drained as his mana hits 0. He is seriously struggling with these mass— still, his progress is pretty solid, with his orb speed climbing up to 5 meters per second. But our boy completely forgot about the final boss monster crashing down from above, ready to pulverize him. This giant beast actually activated a gigantification skill, growing so massive that even Godzilla would think twice before fighting it. Its huge size is terrifying. He is zooming up the monster like the Flash, not even knowing if his orb can pierce something this huge. Carefully choosing his target, he locks onto the beast's head and fires a devastating piercing orb shot. From this distance, Tenma figures the orb is so tiny it will barely do any damage to the giant. The Titanic stone statue throws a massive fist right back. Since our boy cannot dodge in midair, even with that defense, the force blasts him backward, crashing him straight into a wall. This fight is proving way tougher than he expected. Recognizing the danger, his system automatically starts. Meanwhile, over at Rai's place, one of his agents is freaking out over some shocking news. Rai gets highly irritated by all the noise, but the agent shares some urgent news. Apparently, someone defeated Takaru and stepped right into an advanced stage. This update completely. Rai cannot believe a high-level guy like Takeru actually lost. To him, only someone over level 30 could. But elite awakeners of that rank are busy handling real missions, so they never waste time playing around with weaklings. Plus, everyone at this facility is only around level 10. There is absolutely no way this arrogant jerk Rai believes a level 10 rookie beat Takaru. Rai decides to go investigate this personally, figuring they can catch the culprit at the dungeon if they move right now. His agent advises him to be extremely cautious, but of course, this room temperature IQ clown completely ignores the. Rai is fully prepared to humble whoever had the nerve to mess with the prestigious Kinoshita family. Meanwhile, our boy actually survived the hit. Now watch this, he hits 100% analysis inside. Oddly enough, Tenma does not get a new skill this time. Instead, his signature piercing orb upgrades to level 2. This lets him freely adjust its size, and it even does. Ready to test both massive upgrades, Tenma fires up his newly evolved orb. He summons a giant sphere that drains every drop of his remaining mana. It is the most devastating attack he has. Our guy is literally standing there posing like Gojo after a hollow purple, wondering if he overdid it just a little bit. Defeating the giant stone golem marks another major step forward in his growth. His orb's speed has jumped to 7 meters per second. If he clears this stage just 2 more times, it will fly as. It turns out those passive effects he used to ignore are incredibly useful. His Lotus Burst skill now lets him utilize. This means that as long as he keeps buffing the Lotus Burst passive, he will have enough firepower to snipe monsters from several kilometers away. Best of all, he clears this advanced. Everyone is desperate to know how this absolute beast is still a level 0, because it makes 0 sense. He looks like he just stepped out of a shower, totally unharmed. Even Aja is deeply impressed, totally amazed by his talent. She compliments his incredible. Suddenly, he notices a strange butterfly fluttering around her. It is called a jade butterfly. Aja is actually a Shikigami user, but let's be real, those curves of hers are way. Please, do not ask me what color those were. Tenma plays with the cute creature, calling it beautiful before asking. She is totally shocked that he lacks even this basic knowledge. It turns out classes are split into 4 main categories, and our boy has actually seen 3 of them already. The first category is the Elementalist, which features players wielding a massive variety of different elements. These users are the most common in the world, boasting the highest raw destructive power. Both the heavy guy from his class and Takaru. The second type is a Shikigami user. That is right, we are summoners now, going full Megumi from Jujutsu Kaisen. These spiritual beasts are bound to their master from the day they are born, which explains her loyal companion. Now that 2 classes are cleared up, she expects some questions. Instead, Tenma is shocked to see her jade but our guy completely destroys her pride with that blunt observation, not even attempting to sugarcoat it. Aja immediately corrects his misunderstanding, explaining that a Shikigami is naturally supposed to be higher leveled than its. But in that setup, Tenma quickly calculates that it is far better to just assassinate the master directly. Sensing his. Anyway, let's see what the other classes are. The third category is a highly mysterious job with almost 0 public. And yes, that is the exact class our boy has, the legendary Order Breaker. The main issue with this class is that every single user possesses completely unique abilities. Tenma is totally different from ordinary awakeners who can change their size or summon shadow clones like they are straight out of Naruto. Standard skills for each job class are ranked from C to S across 4 strength pyramids. But Order Breakers. That is why the Order Breaker class gets so much respect, their skills are just incredibly unique. But there is a catch. Once an enemy figures out their skill, they lose that advantage. That is why her father, Menu, refused to let any Geha investigate our boy. Tenma is a total anomaly, even among Order Breakers. She witnessed him use 3 distinct skills, with 2 being elementalist types. Tenma is getting. So, he straight up asks her about that mysterious 4th job class he has not seen yet. But she completely shuts him down. She says it is payback for him keeping all his secrets to himself. Before she leaves, Aha asks about his next move, only to learn Tenma plans on spamming the exact same advanced stage. She reminds him dungeons have cooldowns, meaning he is locked out for 2 days. What a massive pain. Cooldowns are a real roadblock, and he had not even factored them in. No, since our boy cannot upgrade his piercing orb right now, he decides to level up his Lotus Burst skill instead. So he demands a stage filled with more beasts. A complete Walmart. Maki Zenin actually remembers a spot. The monster levels are pretty low, but there is a massive swarm of them. And check this out, we are talking a swarm of at least 100 giant locusts. It is a total nightmare. She warns him away, completely unaware our boy already has Lotus Burst. He completely ignores her warnings, leaving the others in absolute shock when they hear he is targeting the locust stage. They are already shaking, terrified that Ragi will show up for revenge, wanting to bail before things get ugly. Speaking of that scumbag, Ragi arrives only to find his target gone. It is honestly hard to believe anyone could clear an entire dungeon in such a short amount of time. Ragi is absolutely seeing red, convinced this mysterious newcomer is intentionally messing with him. He orders his goons to track down any magical traces and call in an assassin named Hound. He wants Tenma captured alive so he can personally torture him. This clown really thinks he is a tough. Meanwhile, in another area, a terrified awakener is running for his life, hunted by Ragi's brutal subordinate, Hound. Even after using his escape technique, he is cornered by a massive, gaping beast. The creature snaps him up. Unbelievably, the guy inside the monster's mouth is still breathing, desperately wondering how they tracked him down. Turns out, this guy's beast has an insane sense of smell, capable of sniffing out any target with ease. This is Charles the Hound, here to handle things for Ragi. The victim begs for mercy, but Charles cold-bloodedly orders his giant wolf to feast on the poor man's flesh. With the kill confirmed, Charles secures a sweet level up. He calls in to report his success, but is shocked to hear about. Realizing this is serious, he heads straight to Ragi's location. Excited for a new challenge, Tenma steps inside the dungeon, immediately wondering why there are so many damn locusts around. Aha explains that specific monsters thrive in specific environments, which is exactly why a crucial skill for any awakener is understanding the battlefield terrain. Because these advanced stages are so lethal, they do not even staff receptionists. Tenma wonders why, in standard dungeons, you can easily turn around and escape if things get too tough. But with these locusts, running away is not an option. One wrong move and the swarm tears you to shreds. Honestly, awakeners get eaten alive here. It is brutal, leaving nothing but bones. But a brutal end does not scare our boy. To him, this is the ultimate playground to hunt endless monsters. Aha thinks he is a total lunatic, but Tenma confidently steps inside the stage. She worries if her warnings were enough, only to suddenly realize she forgot to tell him one massive detail. Those locusts will literally keep spawning forever until the main dungeon boss is finally put down. Panicking over her colossal mistake, Aha runs to enter the stage and warn him but suddenly freezes. Sensing it is Charles the Hound, staring her down with sinister eyes while asking for a certain target. Right as the scene, with a simple clap of his hands, he wakes up the annoying bugs just to slaughter them repeatedly. They are pathetic level 1 trash, but their sheer numbers make this run worth it. With over 100 pests blocking the sky, Tenma casts Lotus Burst while raising his black ice armor. He wants these monsters to crowd him from all sides. Once they think they have him, he will detonate. Timing it perfectly, Tenma triggers the explosion and instantly turns the entire swarm into ash. When the dust clears, every single bug is dead, ranking up his signature skill to level 2. With the blast radius doubling to 10 meters, Tenma realizes these weak monsters are perfect for easy farming. They barely 10 more shots like that, wiping out 100 locusts each time, and his skill scales up by 1,000%. But then it hits him. The stage probably has a cooldown. Just like that, his excitement completely vanishes. Staring at his bracelet, Tenma frowns. Where is the stage clear screen? Suddenly, a boss skill named Matriarch's Will triggers, forcing his automatic analysis to kick in. Look at this. As Tenma scans for survivors, the dead swarm gets sucked into a massive swirling vortex. Leaping back, he creates distance. Is this the boss's doing? He really let his guard down. Evolving his blast is nice, but the real issue is that he has no clue where the boss is hiding. His only play is to keep killing this endless swarm until the big boss finally shows its face. Reactivating Lotus Burst, he triggers another explosion, turning the next wave to dust. Boom. The range expands to 16 meters, boosting the blast. Even after a second wipeout, Tenma wonders why the boss is still. Those same dead bugs keep coming right back to life, forming an endless, relentless swarm. Unfortunately, Tenma can only stall. He has exactly 9 detonations left. Raising his hand a third time, he vows to massacre them every single time they respawn. Another blast rips through. Tenma keeps detonating the explosions until the blast radius swells to 54 meters. He is down to his very last shot, but these annoying bugs just refuse to stop reviving. As the sky fills with bugs again, Tenma feels a surge of panic. His mana is running dry, and he could easily run and abandon the stage, but his pride will not let him quit. One last time, he vows to wipe them out. His final Lotus Burst triggers the biggest explosion yet, completely draining his energy and pushing him to the limit. Yet, the swarm just rises right back up, and that damn analysis is still not fully complete. Right here, he realizes he really screwed up. Why? Because the queen has infinite breeding. That means the only way to win is to kill her. But how? He has 0 mana. And just like that, the tables turn. His analysis hits completion, adapting perfectly to the queen. Tenma unlocks a brand new detection passive that acts like a literal cheat code against her power. This skill is so broken he could keep the queen alive forever just to farm endless locusts for infinite points. But since Aja is still waiting outside, he needs to wrap things up. Activating his new sensory skill, the radar immediately locks on. The queen is hiding right underground. That is all Tenma needs. Stealing Gojo's style, he charges up Hollow Purple and fires it to obliterate the hidden queen. The destructive blast drills deep into the dirt, forcing the queen out of hiding and exposing her weak spot. Just like that, our boy hits her with a lethal slash from behind, ending her. With their ruler dead, but Tenma is happy to drag every last pest down with her. One final blast sweeps the area, wiping out the locusts and expanding his range to 65 meters. Tenma absolutely intends to come back later and level up his explosive reach even more. Setting a new record of 17 minutes, he leaves the stage, slightly worried about Agia, though he half expects her to have ditched. He actually appreciates her awkward personality, but the moment he steps outside, he sees a bloodied Agia being choked. Seeing Tenma walk out completely unscathed confirms to the Deathhound that this is indeed the target his master wants. And yes, that is a real threat. Furious, Tenma warns Charles to take his filthy hands off of her or die. Charles laughs off the level 0 rookie's attitude. But in the blink of an eye, our boy teleports right in front of his face. Oh shit, Charles is dead meat, and he knows it as he summons his wolf to block the attack. The beast successfully tanks the blow as its overmimesis kicks in again. Tenma realizes instantly that he is While Charles tries to analyze the situation, the fighter in front of him moves with insane, high-speed maneuvers. It is obvious how Tiru lost that battle, but the massive advantage Charles holds is having Aha as a helpless hostage. Tenma panics for Aha's life, and that quick distraction costs him as the savage Shikami leaps right at his face. The terrifying thing about this beast's bite of death is its ability to crush opponents with incredibly high defense. To his utter shock, Charles watches this rookie summon sharp black ice spikes to protect his own arm. Tenma even uses his free hand to power up a lethal finishing blow. His piercing sphere annihilates the... Now that he has literally slaughtered death itself, his next target is Charles, who should be a total breeze to... The experienced Awakener realizes this rookie has absolutely no idea about a Shikami's infinite respawn effect. This creature possesses a B- rank ability called Respawn Desire, heavily cutting down its respawn time. Tenma is momentarily unfocused, so the monster lunges to shred him with gaping, razor-sharp teeth. Our guy counters, effortlessly shutting the monster down again. His analysis skill is agonizingly close to finishing, but if that lotus spawns right before Charles, it will... Charles is flat out losing his mind, struggling to deal with an opponent boasting both insane, top-tier... His only card left is Aha. He chokes her to keep her quiet, threatening to kill her right before Tenma. Our main guy desperately wanted to finish his analysis without summoning the lotus. Wait for it. Things are turning wild here. The moment his skill finishes, he unlocks a legendary counter called Shikami Eater, allowing him to steal control of any... It is a perfect counter, but since our guy manually shut down the lotus spawning animation, he misses out on... That is the heavy price. Luckily, he is totally unharmed, so he does not even need... First up, testing time. He tries his Shikami Eater on the lunging beast, activating its core essence. He slaps the Shikami's forehead, completely rewriting its control strings before kicking the giant beast away with utter trash. Charles watches his summon get blasted back again, screaming that it is a useless mutt. He threatens to snap Aha's neck, but she bravely shows zero fear for her own life in this madness. Tenma immediately throws his hands up in surrender to keep her safe. Charles smirks, relieved that the brat is... However, the main question still bugging our guy is why they came after him in the first place. Charles thinks he is playing dumb, claiming the kid started this whole mess. He happily explains the whole mission, revealing how Ray has been absolutely furious ever since a mysterious awakening. Hearing Ray's name yet again seriously irritates Tenma, who decides the two of them really need to have a private chat. Charles sneers, promising they are already headed that way since he plans to have his pet beast rip off, summon that protective ice again, and Charles warns he will instantly snap Aha's neck. Ordering his beast to torture the prey, he is completely clueless that the tables have already turned on him. Aha is safely grabbed by Tenma's incredible thunderwave speed, leaving the hunter baffled as to why his beast. While Tenma praises his new pet, you know he is not done punishing this scumbag for putting hands on Aha. Aha herself is finally safe. Now, the completely terrified hunter desperately begs for his life. Tenma laughs at this garbage offer, forcing Charles to unleash one final, desperate strike to take him down. The sword barely grazes Tenma's side, and our hero simply commands his pet beast to rip Charles apart. Aha is avenged. It is honestly just like that brutal scene from Game of Thrones where Ramsay gets devoured. The Shikami glares at its meal, while the former hunter whimpers on the ground like a pathetic animal. The beast sinks its teeth in to finish Charles off, giving Tenma sweet revenge. And while that goes down, our main guy senses a sneaky spy, watching their battle from a cozy hiding spot, demanding they show. The hidden spy is caught and slowly steps out, but Tenma is still in full-blown, terrifying bloodlust mode. Instantly, he demands to know if this intruder is another one of Charles's allies. The stranger frantically stammers that he is not with them, but Tenma has no time to waste. He tells the beast to finish. As the Shikami devours the corpse, it slowly fades away, proving even a wild beast obeys Tenma's commands. This blonde guy is pretty sure our boy can help him out. Introducing himself as Iberia, he praises Tenma for his abs. Turns out, he already recognizes Tenma as the monster who crushed Takaru, and he offers him karma stones, but Tenma completely blows him off, turning around and walking away. See, no normal awakener would risk their neck like that without a massive payout. But a proper reward always has, like a deadly sword for an avenger, or medicine for the wounded. Check this out. Iberia suddenly realizes he's holding the absolute perfect item for this moment. He knows Tenma can't just dash away because Agia is critically hurt, and she'll likely bleed out before they ever reach a home. To solve this massive crisis, Iberia pulls out a legendary healing scroll. It is such a rare artifact, our hero slowly turns back, looking pretty damn relieved that his friend might actually survive. The scroll's magic is extremely powerful. They gently lay Agia down and start wrapping her serious wounds with them. Turns out, this rare artifact was forged using materials from both Shadow and Wood spirit clan. Our rookie main character has absolutely no clue what artifacts even are. So Iberia explains that regular human. Luckily, skilled crafters can forge incredible weapons using monoliths or actual parts from slain disasters. These special weapons are called artifacts, and they are split into 4 tiers: common, rare, epic, and common artifacts are just your standard basic weapons. They can damage weaker beasts and low-level awakeners, just like a standard longsword would. Rare ones boost your stats, like an aqua blade, but epic gear, like this insanely cool red blood sword. Finally, sitting at the absolute top of the ranking is the unique tier. These boast legendary skills, like the holy sword. Crafters might not fight, but finding a good one is almost impossible. Players are always in their debt, making Tenma realize Iberia's dad must be a crafter. And he's not just some ordinary crafter. Across all 5 continents, only 10 unique artifacts have ever been. Get this, his dad literally made 3 of them, earning him the legendary title of the Artisan King of the North. Well, I did not expect to find a whole northern legend here. But Tenma literally does not care, shifting his focus. He inspects the crossbow he took from Charles, also an artifact. Iberia is completely speechless that after hearing such a jaw-dropping story, this guy does not care about his legend. The crossbow is actually a rare artifact. But since there is no ammo, Iberia explains that certain gear can automatically generate their. Suddenly, the weapon vanishes right into thin air. Tenma is shocked to learn that some soul-bound artifacts Finding this pretty cool, Tenma thanks him for using his rare scroll to save Agia. He promises to repay the favor whenever Iberia needs it, before stating he is going to hunt down Rai himself. Iberia warns him that trying to challenge Rai completely alone is a seriously suicidal plan. But Tenma is in no mood to argue. Luckily, it turns out both of them are actually hunting down the exact same. Even though Rai has not directly angered him yet, Iberia proposes that they team up for the Savior Alliance turn. Tenma remembers that event. He recalls that only the top 10 fighters will qualify for the main tournament. That's why he has been grinding difficult. Honestly, what does a tournament have to do with hunting down Rai? Iberia explains that the qualifiers are split up by continent, and since Rai is the chief's own son, he has to participate in this event with his brother. If neither of them makes the top 10, the Kinoshita family name is going to, and that is exactly why he is taking over all these stages for his own personal benefit. Still, Tenma asks why this blonde guy is giving him so much help. Iberia admits he genuinely respects our boy, trusting his gut instinct that they will both make the cut. But Tenma still feels like there is a deeper, more personal reason for him rushing into this massive tournament. Iberia opens up, admitting he watched his father forge these weapons since he was just a little kid, and absolutely his dream was always to awaken, grabbing those incredible weapons his father crafted to fight against the monsters. But even after he awakened, his dad completely refused to forge him a real weapon, calling him entirely unworthy. Even so, his dad didn't budge, telling his son he had to pass those qualifiers first. That is why he is so incredibly desperate to pass these qualifiers no matter what. Hearing this, Tenma realizes the master artisan's son should have elite fighters begging to team up with him. So why on earth did he choose a level 0 nobody? Turns out, his father Aiden made a rule. If Iberia gets carried by some high-level player, he gets absolutely Honestly, you can probably relate. His dad is the ultimate strict Asian parent with 0 shortcuts allowed. Worse still, the strongest contenders were already bought out or threatened by Reiji, leaving only pre-made squads. And why not? Tenma literally just crushed the powerful Takaru and easily took down Charles. So after grilling him with tons of questions, our boy finally agrees to team up, but they need to get Ajaha to a hospital. Iberia is absolutely ecstatic. He immediately starts brainstorming a team name, rattling off dozens of hilarious. The guy is a solid teammate, but he seriously never stops talking. Thinking back to his school days, Tenma wonders if Reimu and Seiya are also entering the tournament. Right on cue, we see he figures his buddy Tenma must be thinking about him. Just hearing his name makes Seiya really worried about how she just hopes he is surviving. But Reimu instantly starts teasing an absolute life out of her for having a crush, which immediately gets him blasted with her water magic. He yells. Supervising their sparring from a distance is their cyborg master, who is absolutely determined to get them. Seiya has already reached level 11, while Reimu, he is still stuck at level 10. Both are elementalists, ready to battle other awakeners soon. The scene cuts back to Reiji, who is getting seriously pissed off that his tracker hasn't reported in yet. He is so sick of these utterly useless underlings. His assistant suggests sending a search party, but Reiji only cares about the qualifiers. If he fails this year, actually, this guy has already bribed nearly 800 contestants to rig the upcoming matches. With all of them at level 5 or higher, Reiji is highly pleased with his agent's work. He then consumes a final stat boosting. He is currently sitting at level 12, acting like he is invincible with his rare lightning element. Next, we see Tenma deeply apologizing to his master Mendu for failing to rescue Ageha in time. Mendu calmly offers to wipe out Reiji himself, but Tenma asks his master to leave the trash to him instead. Mendu understands and agrees, planning to ask for the full details some other time. Meanwhile, Iberia is completely speechless, unable to believe the legendary Northern commander is acting so friendly. Tenma then announces his plan to enter the qualifiers, and his master fully supports the decision. Luckily, Ageha is recovering quickly, thanks to her healing butterfly. Iberia even lent them a... Mendu already knows about the boy's famous father, completely catching Iberia off guard. Trying to sound incredibly cool and protect his family's pride, Iberia confidently declares that he is Aiden's father. Yup, you actually heard that right. This absolute clown completely butchered his own introduction, embarrassing himself in front of everyone present. Bad aura aside, Mendu is truly grateful the boy helped save his daughter, promising to personally thank his father. With the qualifiers starting soon, he advises them to train hard, admitting he expects great things from their team. While both boys are highly confident, Ageha is left completely stunned by her father's massive interest in Tenma. You see, Tenma carries some heavy childhood trauma, which explains why he is absolutely merciless when slaying monsters. Yet, that dangerous dark side of his completely softens around those he truly cares about. That is exactly why Mendu wants his daughter by Tenma's side, hoping she becomes someone he fiercely wants to protect. Also, remember that skeleton monster from Tenma's school early on? Turns out that was not a... Human traitors are rapidly growing in number, and other commanders are being targeted as well. Mendu is fully convinced that humanity is currently sprinting toward absolute destruction. But Tenma might just be the ultimate shield to stop it, serving as humanity's last ray of hope. Finally, we arrive. Tenma certainly did not expect such a massive turnout. But Mendu's legendary status pulled in a massive crowd, boosting contestants to over 5,000. This is terrible news but his agent thinks it is no big deal. He already wrapped red bands around their hired hands, so they are easy to spot. Even Saya and Rimu. Saoru Fujiwara steps up as the main supervisor to explain the rules. The arena is split in two. One side is the external zone, and the other is internal. The first stage starts at the outer region's 4 towers. Candidates have to fight through the chaos to reach the inner area. The second they cross into it, their rank is recorded onto their bracelets. Only the top 500 out of the 5,000 will pass. Saya is quite worried that 4,500 people will get wiped out. Every fighter can bring 2 weapons or tools of their choice. Anything goes. Iberia points over toward Reiji, who is hiding behind his bribed awakeners. He knows this jerk bought off these participants so they can blitz right to the inner zone first. Honestly, you have to love his confidence. Tenma just walks straight up to that red-haired stick figure. The first round begins, and Saoru Fujiwara is expecting big things from the kids. This absolute powerhouse, his rank and actual stats are still a total mystery. Years ago, he and Jin absolutely crushed their own exam. He desperately hopes there is another monster like that who can dazzle the crowd. But since that kind of genius is super rare, Saoru Fujiwara has pretty low expectations. Heen remembers a rumor about some kid beating a level 8 monster right after awakening, so he asks Rimu. The Northern Commander confirms the story, making them wonder if that legendary rookie is actually in this tournament. Curiously, Saoru Fujiwara scans the list of elite school candidates to see what kind of monster they are dealing with. Both Reimu and Saya are crossed off, leaving the level 16 wood specialist Hana Hanu. She seems like a real prodigy, but Reimu staying silent means his guesses are wrong, even if Hana Hanu is the... Heen then asks if there are any level 0s competing. There is always at least one who ends up getting absolutely wrecked in the arena. Speaking of level 0s, Reiji starts mocking the rookie trying to challenge him, completely clueless but the moment our boy pulls out Charles's crossbow, Reiji's face completely drops. Tenma knows this clown has been looking for him. Ticked off by his disrespectful tone, Reiji takes him for a cheap... With that, Reiji leaps away to head straight for the inner zone, leaving Tenma surrounded by high-level hunters who outrank. Heen cannot understand how a level 0 plans to take on multiple level 6 and 7 opponents like that. Iberia hates this matchup too, terrified they will be completely overwhelmed by these 4 attackers. He prepares to unleash his hidden trump card, but one thug tries to start a fight. Tenma calmly tells him to step. That simple command makes the guy burst out laughing, assuming the kid is just some arrogant rookie who only knows how to talk. Heen actually respects Tenma's fearless attitude, quietly deciding to step in if the boy is about to get killed. The loudmouth thug tries to mock him again, only to get smashed right in the face as Tenma tells him once more to move. Heen is absolutely stunned. He cannot process how this kid just one-shotted someone with a much higher level. The nearby combatants prepare to burn Tenma to ashes, and Iberia is too far away. Watching such a massive fire blast, the other fighters are convinced our rookie is completely done for. Yet, Tenma emerges without a single scratch, shocking the crowd with his ironclad defense. His black ice defense stats are skyrocketing with every attack he successfully blocks. Nobody can believe he used a water element shield, so Tenma dares them to try again. Furious, the fire... Check this out, he just stands there, tanking the entire blast. The fire mage poured so much energy into his attack that he suffers backlash, completely draining his... Instead, Tenma walks out untouched, wearing a massive black ice gauntlet. The enemies realize they are in massive trouble since even their strongest strike did not leave a single mark on him. They bombard him with a flurry of fireballs, but nothing hurts him. Changing tactics, they try to drain, but Tenma closes the distance instantly, blitzing them with overwhelming physical strength to obliterate. The last 2 standing are lightning warriors, and Tenma coldly warns them that running away is not an option. But these idiots go right ahead and trigger their dual skills anyway. Heen cannot believe a level 0 guy just wiped out an entire team. With everyone down, Iberia praises his partner. Nobody actually believes he is level 0, but Iberia loudly declares to the arena that they will be the absolute... Ri is walking along thinking about that crossbow, when another awakener suddenly tries to pass him, Only Rai coldly reminds the pathetic loser of his place. Absolutely nobody gets to step ahead of him. He rounds up the rest of his loyal lackeys and orders them to stick close together. Up in the booth, the examiners watch this arrogant display from the young master of the Kinoshita family. Unfortunately, he is not breaking any rules, so they cannot intervene, while Rai remains completely. Suddenly, Tenma hears someone calling out his name, and it is none other than that dynamic duo from earlier. Seeing that Tenma survived the team ambush makes him wonder how on earth this kid actually managed to do that. He mocks our boy as level 0 trash, but Tenma barely cares. Since Ragi does not want to, Tenma is more than happy to take them all on, covering Iberia's ears before dashing forward like lightning to slam Ragi. This is his clear warning to the bastard he is going to settle this score, and his prey is not escaping until he is. Meanwhile, Seiya and Remu run into some trouble but eventually manage to reach the inner circle. Wii and Agami hold third and second place, while Hanu sits comfortably at the very top of the leaderboard. She is totally out of their league, but Iberia actually climbs his way to 6th place after shouting out Tenma's name. But our main man is still out on the battlefield, planning to farm this entire group of 100, instead of even the high-ranking examiners cannot figure out what this guy's deal is. Heen is honestly starting to wonder if this guy might actually destroy them all. Ragi sees our boy as a complete eyesore he can no longer ignore, but with 100 men against one, the odds are avenging Aga, the tournament be damned. The brutal onslaught begins as the army of Awakeners charges, but our does not even flinch, instantly taking down the very first attacker with a single shot. Now, doubt his level 0 status as Tenma unleashes Lotus Burst. You have to see this, he is about to blast this entire field into. The examiner cannot believe the absolutely massive radius of that detonation, while Aga is high. But Tenma's only target right now is the arrogant punk who dared to start this beef with him. He just instantly killed 100 players, meaning Ragi is the only target left. Tenma slowly walks up as this fool still has the nerve to believe he can win this battle just by screaming at the top of his lungs. He unleashes his ultimate technique, the devastating Thunder Cannon. Tenma triggers his analysis process and delivers a brutal gut punch, slamming him to the ground like a bug. Desperate, the intruder is actually a level 35 Awakener, making Heighten eager to eliminate him immediately for invading the. Our hero can instantly sense someone closing in at extreme speed, but there is definitely more than one person coming. The agent is just about to strike when Heighten suddenly slams him into the dirt, telling Tenma to finish what he's. Tenma coldly stares down the pleading loser, but before the coward can even finish his pathetic sob story, our hero completely crushes his skull, finally avenging Aga. He pauses his analysis skill to save the progress. Seiya and her companions happily invite him to come inside. She is practically drooling over this guy after watching him absolute decimate those other Awakeners, which officially. Meanwhile, Iberia and Remu are locked in some serious bro beef, both desperately trying to claim the title of 10. They keep trading insults, ridiculing and rage-baiting each other to the absolute limit. The examiner officially wraps up the first stage, explaining that they must survive fighting monsters in the second round. This is where things get crazy as our 7 survivors face their next challenge. Get ready. Everyone is incredibly curious, with Seiya and Remu trying their hardest to pry into the secrets behind our boy. The examiners tell the candidates to prepare themselves, stepping down to meet them alongside several other famous This test requires them to hunt beasts for points based on difficulty, but slaying a monster triggers a 1-minute. Hearing this rule instantly makes Gakui want to go after the highest level monsters right away. Intrigued, Tenma speaks up to ask if the nightmare-class monsters are truly the absolute highest Most people there don't think he has the raw power to handle a massive threat like that, but Fujiwara reveals that every single one of them is completely unique, making comparisons useless. This entire test directly impacts their future chances of becoming a top-tier savior, so getting a high score here is absolute. With Jin's score of 115,000 in mind, our boy is determined to beat humanity's best. The gates open, and the trial. These opening monsters are absolute garbage, so Tenma taps into his ice skills to freeze them instantly. Heen is the only spectator who's genuinely excited to track his every move. Even now, he watches the kid completely wipe out a pack of wild dogs in under a second. This is exactly why but Fujiwara is pretty sure that the level 8 beast coming up next will actually give Tenma a real run for his. Almost anyone would struggle at a difficulty level like that, but Menu doesn't want the other examiners breathing down, so he quickly changes the subject to ask about the other candidates. They're doing okay, but Hanu herself is. As for Tenma's duel, our guy just tanks the fire head on and walks out without a single scratch. He slices the monster in half with one swift strike, ending the fight in 5 seconds to bag 500 points. Heen is left wondering why he didn't just end it instantly, but Tenma is actually farming his defensive stats by Next up is an electric rhino. It's a much tougher beast worth 1,000 points, where getting hit even once means instant paralysis. You'd normally need insane speed to handle this, but Tenma just casually strolls straight up to the beast. He even points out how cool its horn looks. The beast charges and sends him flying, but he feels absolute. Taking that hit actually triggers another nice boost to his defense. Since the show is over, Tenma dashes forward and ends. Fujiwara hypes up the next opponent, warning everyone that this new monster possesses some pretty ridiculous attack and defense. They literally call this beast one of the most savage disaster threats in the entire preliminary round. Meet the Nightmare-class Purgatory Giant. But all that hype is useless because Tenma just one-shots the Titan with his piercing orb, pulling a cool Bored of these weaklings, he asks the proctors to send the next nightmare boss. Meanwhile, Saya Hisagi blasts, determined to wipe out the last two beasts so she can finally move up to the normal class. As she braces herself, her system alerts her that she is extremely close to clearing the beginner division. In another zone, Gaku is totally confident that he will be the absolute first to secure his promotion. And while Hanahanu pauses to restore her mana before moving forward, the system suddenly blares an urgent server-wide. Some 21st ranked nobody just completely cleared the entire Nightmare class in record-breaking time, totally shocking every single candidate. Saya knows right away that the only person capable of this is Tenma. Back in the control room, the four proctors are utterly speechless when they realize he just one-shotted a level 15 Purgatory Giant. Now let's see how far they can push him, as they decide to crank up the test's difficulty. But checking his stat, he was honestly expecting some legendary rewards, but all he got were a couple of lousy stat points. Still feeling unsatisfied, he decides to hunt down another high-tier monster. He fires a single sphere that completely impales the beast, dropping it in one shot. The examiners are he notices that his stats are almost completely focused on raw strength. But that build comes with a pretty massive downside. Meanwhile, Tenma is confronted by a monster whose sheer speed. The examiner points out that people always assume these massive purgatory giants are slow, but they actually possess. Since this species has absolutely zero mana capacity, all of their physical attributes are naturally boosted to the absolute extreme. The giant easily dodges every single energy blast our boy fires, moving way too fast for him to lock on. And right here, we see the exact weakness Heen spotted earlier. Those black spheres pack a massive punch, but they travel way too slow to hit extremely fast high-level targets. Even so, Tenma clearly has amazing battle instincts, waiting for the giant to pause and scream before throwing his. But Heen concludes that if the kid can't find a way to make his black spheres fly faster, he will hit a hard. Back in the arena, our boy is actually starting to struggle as the fight drags on. Knowing the beast can easily dodge anything thrown from mid-range, Fujiwara starts getting seriously worried, fearing that if the kid keeps relying on that slow sphere, they think he's completely out of tricks. But then, Tenma just stands there and starts smiling. He's actually cracked the code predicting the beast's movements instead of chasing it. Now, both of them charge. The beast swings a massive fist. It slams down, literally shattering the arena floor beneath them. The staff immediately dials the emergency rescue team because an electric rhino strike is seriously no joke. But wait, the attack completely missed him. Now the monster is looking around, totally confused, unable to find its. Appearing right behind it, Tenma blasts the monster with his black sphere, completely obliterating its face. The fight is over in just 12 seconds. Aha, can't believe Tenma took down that massive monster so easily. When Izumi and Fujihara look over, they notice she's actually looking pretty worried, which is a rare sight. She quickly tries to brush it off, claiming she was just praying for everyone's safety, and would have reacted like. But all that over-explaining just makes them think she's suddenly become way too chatty lately. The old geyser turns back to Heen, asking why Tenma was just dodging instead of counterattacking. Heen explains that our boy's speed is quite. Once lightning starts flowing through his veins, his speed skyrockets, meaning that giant monster won't be able to land a single hit on him. Impressed, the old geyser declares that our boy definitely deserves first place, but Tenma isn't planning on stopping. He wants to surpass the strongest human alive, Jin Taewa, and taking a break now would just slow him down. Without missing a beat, he keeps taking down the purgatory monsters back to back. The old geyser recalls, but Heen quickly points out he only reached it and nothing more. Still, they remember even Heen himself had his limits at Phase 3. With that in mind, They watch our boy. Tenma immediately forms a plan for the second beast, and it works out perfectly. But for the third monster, totally different. He literally lets the beast swallow him whole, only to tear it apart from the inside out, clearing them in 13 seconds. Fujihara is left completely stunned, seeing the exact skill that wiped out so many players instead. His mana is practically drained, but as long as these beasts keep spawning, his Mana Sense passive will reload his tank. And right here, Nightmare Class Phase 4 begins, with 4 massive Purgatory Giants waiting for him. Thanks to his passive skill, 40% of his mana recovers. If he clears Phase 4, he surpasses Heen's old record. Since nobody besides Jean Taewa has ever beaten it, Heen is incredibly curious to see what our boy can do. As the flight speed of his piercing True Sphere skill increases, his targeting accuracy goes up with it. If Tenma can just boost that speed a little bit more, he can easily snipe them from a distance. But with his mana running dangerously low, he absolutely has to make every single attack count. Suddenly, the giant shoots out heavy chains, completely locking Tenma down so he can't move. The monster slams the ground and grabs our hero, squeezing him tight. Tenma quickly realizes he has even worse, the giant literally crushes his bones before throwing his broken body back onto the dirt. Seeing Tenma bleeding out on the ground, Fujihara begs Heen to jump in and save him. Heen hesitates, wondering if our boy has finally hit his limit, seeing a bit of his younger self in him. But as he moves to help, the others argue with Izumi that they can't debate his strength. If they don't step in now, he is going to die. But Izumi stands firm. Knowing our hero still has an ace up his sleeve, Fujihara asks how he could possibly know that, and Izumi explains. Tenma stands right back up. Absolutely refusing to die here, after coming this incredibly far. Back when he fought Raji Kinoshita, his over-mimesis skill was analyzing everything, but he paused it right before complete. Tenma hits resume, and the analysis instantly finishes. The old geyser cheers up seeing our boy's blue lotus. Fujihara wonders what a useless lotus can do now, while Heen is confused by the old geyser's reaction. This broken ability absorbs any B rank or lower lightning attack straight into his body, and releasing that energy boosts his agility by 100%, fully restoring his health as he finally stops playing around. Fujihara stands there in absolute shock, watching Tenma heal up faster than a dedicated healer after taking such a He simply cannot believe how many skills this rookie possesses. Tenma tears through the Purgatory Giants in a flash, clearing Phase 4 in just 31 seconds. He stands tall, but look at this, a giant ambushes him from above, only for Tenma to blow it to pieces instantly. Tenma's flight speed surges by 2700% as he continues shredding those giants. He clears Phase 5 in under a minute, then breezes through Phase 6 in just 90 seconds. Watching Tenma absolutely slaughter those Purgatory Giants, the entire crowd is left completely speechless. Tenma sits back, casually waiting for more giants to spawn, but nothing appears. Still trembling with shock, Fujihara grabs his microphone and tells Tenma that he just annihilated every single giant. He is actually shocked he cleared it all, since he did not know a limit existed. Having completely lost count during the chaotic brawl, he wonders just how many he took down. Since Fujihara is completely stunned to spot a karma stone left on the ground, and its brilliant blue color means it holds 10,000. Izumi explains to the crowd that since Tenma cannot absorb experience points directly, they crystallize into physical stone. Just then, Tenma steps through the gate, and Fujihara immediately showers him with praise. He eagerly invites Our protagonist politely declines the offer, calmly stating that he already has a master. Fujihara keeps pushing, arguing that some generic teacher could never guide a monstrous talent like, insisting only a high-status mentor can truly help him. Hearing this, Heighten tells the old man to quit. The desperate old man begs Heighten to help persuade Tenma, pleading that they cannot let some amateur ruin such. Just then, Tenma smiles and thanks Heighten, leaving Fujihara utterly speechless when Heighten casually replies. Fujihara nearly faints realizing this prodigy is Heighten's student, finally understanding where that freakish power comes from. Izumi quickly checks her student over for any injuries, but seeing how hyped he was to start Phase 7, she knows he is perfectly fine. Tenma tells his master he is not hurt, though his stamina is completely depleted. Fujihara finally understands the full scope of Tenma's power. Izumi's other disciples easily cleared all the Calamity Beasts in the second stage as well. Tenma asks if Taewa, since that was too easy, They bumped it up to 8 difficulty levels this time. After explaining, Izumi guides her student over. Meanwhile, Remu is completely exhausted after barely scraping by the hard difficulty. Finding the nightmare, Xian already pushed herself to the absolute limit, drowning the beasts inside a massive sphere of water. With her mana reserves running completely dry, she realizes the next challenge is totally out of reach and surrenders. Tenma is honestly surprised to see them fail so quickly, but Fujihara gently reminds him that most rookies can bear. Seeing how fast they melted that electric rhino, he is confident they will easily land in the top 10. But even after surrendering, those two cannot leave the arena, as exits are strictly blocked unless a player is near. Now we get to see the other elite contenders finally enter that nightmare difficulty. Heighten feels pretty confident that Gaku can slay at least one purgatory giant, using that rare artifact of his. As for Xian, the dedicated Shikigami user, reaching this stage proves her sheer determination. She morphs into. Tenma is genuinely intrigued to see a Shikigami transform like that, wondering if Aga's jade butterfly has a. But Aga quickly corrects him, admitting she has no such ability, and that this is her first time seeing a transformation. She explains that Shikigami come in countless mysterious forms, warning Tenma to tread extremely carefully if he ever. Realizing how overpowered they can be, Tenma decides to feed all his future XP drops to that shadow beast he swiped from. Since Xian and Reimu are done, Tenma sees no reason to linger and prepares to exit. Suddenly, Iber catches his eye, and that legendary dragon gear is the most powerful relic Iber's father left behind, an intelligent artifact. Iber endured absolute torment just to tame the plate armor, which passively boosts his combat attributes with every. But if he keeps it equipped for over 15 minutes, a massive penalty kicks in, meaning he must end the fight quickly. As AA faces off against the Purgatory Giants, she knows the Nightmare class announcement was definitely Tenma's doing. He pushes himself to the absolute limit, determined not to drag down his friend since they are double one. Ibra strikes, shattering the giant's armor and instantly ending the second stage. Fujihara announces that only the top 10 scorers will advance to the national tournament main event, with the top. Gaku feels pretty confident that nobody except Hanyu can beat his score, meaning that special reward is based. Prepare yourself, because the moment Fujihara drops the top 10 rankings, everyone completely loses. Tenma scored over 100,000 points, leaving Jintawa's 60,000 in the dust. That massive score basically guarantees it. Since each Purgatory Giant only gives 5,000 points, Remu cannot help but wonder how many monsters Tenma actually slaughtered. Meanwhile, Ghana cannot believe he got third place behind some absolute nobody who racked up such an insane score. Seiya feels pretty down seeing the massive power gap between her and Tenma, wondering if combat is even her thing. Fujihara wraps up the provincial qualifiers, with Tenma sitting comfortably at the very top by a lead of 65,000 points. Even though Ibra cannot see his father's face, he knows the old man is absolutely thrilled. He cheers on his friend for taking first place, feeling pretty proud that he did not shame the legendary double one name. With the 21st Savior Alliance National Tournament qualifiers over, Tenma carries his exhausted friend out of the arena. Meanwhile, over in the South Continent, a frustrated warrior complains about waking up early just to watch some old. His buddy warns him to show some respect, explaining that this senior is actually their supreme commander who can see. But the warrior still wonders why they are only warned after the defensive barriers have already been deployed. I mean, if Barger can actually see the future, shouldn't he know exactly where the monoliths will crash? Well, Barger can only predict brief windows of time. He stands with elites like Yumi because his predictions are flawless, but watch this. He suddenly panics and collapses. His followers quickly help him up as he screams that the North is in grave danger. A catastrophic disaster beast exceeding level 100 is heading north, right as Tenma's stats finally break 1500 points. Since level-ups usually grant 50 points, 1500 stats technically puts our hero around level 30 for a normal awakener. His agility and defense can scale infinitely thanks to passive skills, and his mana constantly regenerates with Mona Sense, but his raw attack power is stuck, leaving him wondering how to. His friends shout that dinner is finally ready, so he decides to put the theory aside and figure out how to raise his. Sitting down at the table, Tenma notices that Ibra is completely missing. AA explains that she healed his wounds earlier, but he was so incredibly drained that he is still fast asleep. Remu is shocked. Ibra cleared a nightmare stage that he and Seiya could not beat, but suddenly, Seiya gasps in horror. She warns Reimu to look behind him, and a massive, towering shadow terrifies Reimu too. Ibra just lunges at the food, eating like a maniac while Reimu yells at him for invading their table. Ibra, which makes Reimu prepare for a fight, but instead, the hungry warrior just lets out a deeply satisfied. Finding out Reimu cooked everything, Ibra tells him to quit being an awakener and become a full-time chef instead. Suddenly, Ayumi interrupts their dinner, asking the young saviors what they fear the most in life. Reimu actually stops to think. His dream is to retire rich as a savior, travel the globe, and eat. So, his biggest fear is aging. He worries that getting old means losing his stamina to travel, and his taste buds dying until everything tastes like cardboard. Seiya was raised by a family of doctors, growing up around hospitals, and watching countless patients suffer from terror. That trauma runs pretty deep, leaving her absolutely terrified of even a common, everyday cold. Tenma finally connects the dots, realizing Seiya sprinted away the other day just because he sneezed. Ayumi reassures them that awakeners live twice as long and rarely get sick, so they can ease their minds. Meanwhile, Ibra's biggest fear was failing the qualifiers, but now, he is terrified of not being strong. With his secret out, he immediately pressures Tenma to reveal his own fear. While the group assumes their overpowered friend fears nothing, Tenma reveals that losing his parents left him constantly. He was consumed by pure helplessness, rage, and grief, until Seiya and Reimu finally stepped into his dark life. While he was crying, they walked up and gently told him to look up at the gorgeous sky instead of staring at the. They offered to take him to a hospital if he was sick, and some warm food to ease his mind. That warmth dragged him out of his dark headspace, and when he met Aegea and Iberia, he felt like he had finally found a family. Tenma admits it has been forever since he felt this kind of pure relief, secretly wishing this exact moment could, because deep down, his biggest fear was being completely alone. Aegea gets misty-eyed, seeing Tenma so incredibly soft and peaceful, a total contrast to his usual. Izumi explains that he only asked that question to see if there was any chance they would regret their choice when they finally face real danger as saviors, because a true savior must never hold any regrets. He warns them to remember that dying without a single regret is the absolute ultimate goal for any savior. With that, he tells them to rest up since Kisaragi and Horino must head back to the northern district tomorrow morning. When morning comes, everyone says their goodbyes, and Iberia tells Reimu that he absolutely must cook for her again sometime. Watching Reimu tear up, Tenma wonders when those two got so close, then remembers he still needs to ask Saya something. But out of nowhere, Aegea comes rushing in with some seriously urgent, top-secret news from the South Continent. She tells Izumi that the clearance level for this intel is insanely high, reserved only for continent commanders. Izumi tells Aegea to spill the news because he fully trusts Tenma and his companions. Aegea breaks it to Izumi that Elder Barger predicted a massive horde of disaster beasts will strike the northern continent in just. Tenma immediately questions if this prophecy is actually reliable, and his friend reminds him that Barger is a legendary prophet across the 5 continents, meaning his visions are basically. Aegea begs Izumi to leave the northern continent right now. But Izumi knows there must be a deeper reason behind this massive disaster beast invasion, and he has a strong feeling. He honestly considers staying behind as live bait, but Aegea snaps back that combat is not his thing and he can. She practically begs him to retreat to the central continent for safety for now. Tenma agrees with Aegea and offers to stay and fight in his place, but Izumi refuses to run and tells Tenma he argues that protecting his master is the only thing that matters, but Izumi points out that Iberia's dad, Aiden, is the most legendary crafter across the 5 continents, and they absolutely cannot afford to. So Izumi orders his student to go protect Aiden alongside Iberia, promising to send a squad of powerful awakeners. Watching Izumi split their forces just to protect Iberia's dad, Tenma wonders if he is simply trying to keep him away from the battle. Izumi then makes 3 specific demands to Aegea. First, she must warn the northern continent residents about the incoming attack, and have level 50 and below awakeners safely evacuated. Second, she needs to mobilize every single level 50 and above awakener on the continent, keeping them. Finally, he requests Heen to join them in the sparsely populated North District, meaning they can clash with the. Meanwhile, Aegea reports to her father, confirming that all the massive battle preparations are complete and he is on his way. But as he dismisses her, he instantly catches a tiny flicker of hesitation on her face. Honestly, it doesn't take him long to realize that she is dying to know one major thing. Exactly why he sent Tenma to Aiden of all people. Since Aegea cannot hide her intense curiosity, he sees no reason. He reveals that they are anticipating the arrival of the legendary prophesied disaster beasts, terrifying creatures whose levels easily blow past level 100. If Tenma faces monsters like that, he will have. But Aegea immediately argues back, pointing out how incredibly dangerous that logic is. By showing off Tenma's ultimate card so openly, They are basically giving the disaster beasts a cheat sheet on his strengths, allowing them to prepare perfect counters and slaughter him. Her father then points out another hard truth about Tenma, noting that despite his endless utility, but high society rumors whisper that Aiden owns some legendary artifact capable of massively boosting offensive power. If Tenma can somehow lay his hands on that artifact, he would become an absolute beast of an awakener, with literally zero weaknesses. Fast forward to around when massive monoliths suddenly begin raining down all over the northern continent, officially signaling the start of the massive assault. Over in North District 2, Tenma and Iberia are sprinting through the empty streets, desperately heading toward Iberia. Right then, they spot a massive monolith dropping straight from the sky. The attack is already starting, and it is crashed. Tenma has no idea if the citizens actually manage to evacuate safely. If a disaster beast pops up right now, casualties will be absolutely catastrophic. Chaos explodes. Meanwhile, Tenma closely watches the magical barrier forming around the area. He finds himself completely torn between two brutal options. Does he save the civilians knowing that leaving them means certain death, or does he stay focused entirely on their mission? Helping bystanders will only drag them down and ruin their timing. Because of that, he simply cannot bring him. Iberia is incredibly worried about his father, refusing to even ask for a quick breather despite being totally worn out. Yet before Tenma can speak, Iberia speaks up first, suggesting they save the civilians. Just like that, they pivot their plans, deciding to eliminate the disaster beast inside the city walls before. Right inside the city, a level 21 flame golem has already spawned. A few heroes are desperately trying to hold it back, but their levels are way too low compared to this monster. Looking around at the destruction, they quickly realize they are completely outmatched. One by one, these supposed everyone except for one brave water elementalist who charges straight toward the massive monster. Even though sheer terror is locking up his muscles and he is practically wetting his pants, he refuses to let the monster see him sweat. Talk about sheer determination, he actually manages to knock the beast down once, but then it instantly revives. Right then, everyone realizes the exact same thing. They are about to get roasted like grilled chicken, but just as hope completely dies, Tenma flashes in. Effortlessly, he quickly orders Iberia to get the crowd to safety while he takes care of this fiery beast solo. The civilians stare in absolute shock at the massive ice wall protecting them, frantically asking Iberia if. No way, Iberia quickly says, though he confidently claims he will surpass Jintewa one day. The terrified crowd immediately snaps back at him, calling him an arrogant brat even though he just helped save their lives. Then their eyes shift over to our main hero, noticing Tenma standing tall while completely clad in freezing ice armor. For a second, they wonder if his actual body is a legendary artifact. Honestly, some time ago, I had warned Tenma it packs a ton of power, but the casting time is just too long. When facing a highly agile disaster beast, the projectile speed is not even close to fast. If that initial shot misses, the enemy will instantly raise its guard, making it almost impossible to connect with a second hit. That is why Izumi advised him to avoid it unless it was absolutely necessary. Basically, only pull back in the moment. Tenma knows that unleashing that black sphere in front of a giant crowd will only bring unwanted attention, especially since people are already gossiping about him being some secret high-level awakener. Instead, he decides to rely strictly on raw, overwhelming force. Triggering his Thunderwave, he leaps high into the air and drives a devastating kick right into the golem's skull, smashing it into. Just look at this, a legendary monster is getting completely wrecked by a kid who looks barely school-aged. A lot of onlookers assume the golem must have been heavily weakened beforehand, but the folks watching right from the front row, they cannot believe a massive level 21 boss was unable to even touch a single hair on his head. This only deepens the mystery, leaving everyone wondering who this powerful kid actually is. But the second the monster left behind, the surviving heroes stand there in completely stunned silence, totally unable to process the ridiculous display of power they just saw. While sprinting alongside his partner, failing to get an instant kill against a lower-tier beast like that does not look promising for what is coming next. This is just the start, and whatever lies ahead is bound to be far worse. Only one thing is clear now: he needs to find a way to boost his strength, no matter what. Meanwhile, Iberia is completely blown up, but Tenma knows speed is pretty useless if you cannot hit hard enough. Realizing he has a point, Iberia mentions that he tells Tenma that his dad's private vault is packed with powerful artifacts, meaning there must be some. Since he is pretty strong and Asumi's student, his dad will absolutely give him one. Iberia practically starts drooling, picturing Tenma covered in lead. Tenma thought he was actually holding back his pace. But seeing Iberia panting so hard despite his high agility makes him realize his friend is struggling to keep up. So our hero scoops up Iberia to save his energy for the upcoming fight with the disaster beast, and just bolts. Iberia screams in absolute panic because they are going way too fast. But Tenma tells him to deal with it. After a brief, high-speed dash, Iberia lets out a massive sigh of relief, glad to have survived in one piece. Tenma wonders why his friend's dad chose a dangerous deep forest over a safe town, and Iberia explains that Aiden finds. Still, he warns his friend not to underestimate the defense, because the entire area is. Tenma finally understands why he was sensing weird traces of mana, but Iberia assures him they will be fine. Tenma is confident he can easily bypass these traps using his mana sense. But of course, his overconfident buddy immediately steps on a trap. You already know he is about to lose his absolute mind. Tenma feels the mana spiking like crazy, as an epic iron golem suddenly rises in front of them. Our hero is pretty shocked that the old man actually has humanoid artifacts. When the golem swings to crush Iberia, Tenma leaps, clashing against the giant machine. Tenma can feel that this artifact's raw attack power is significantly higher than, but he cannot just destroy the artifact with his piercing true sphere, since it is built to keep Iberia. Tenma asks Iberia if there is a way to deactivate it, and his friend yells out to grab the karma stone in its chest because Tenma immediately triggers his thunder wave, knowing that while he lacks raw strength, he has the ultimate advantage. He scales the golem's massive arm in a flash and tears the karma stone right out. Out of nowhere, Iberia screams for Juki to stop. Tenma spins around in surprise only to find a strange. Juki explains that he mistook them for common bandits, leaving Tenma to wonder how this guy sneaked up on. What is even crazier is watching the man's sword completely vanish. Iberia introduces Tenma to Juki, and Juki tells them that the master is waiting in the back, but warns them to tread carefully because he is in a terrible mood. Iberia bursts inside, bragging to. He demands that his dad keep his word and let him choose any artifact he wants. But instead of a prize, Iberia receives a harsh slap across the face. Aiden angrily demands that his. Iberia tries to whine that he was only borrowing the gear, but his dad furiously scolds him for being reckless, warning that wearing dragon gear for too long has severe, As Iberia storms out in a rage, the old man turns to Tenma, immediately recognizing him as Asumi's student. Our hero introduces himself and explains that he was sent to protect Aiden due to the grim prophecy of a massive disaster. Aiden knows that Asumi has impossibly high standards and rarely takes disciples, making him wonder why he. And here is the exact moment the legendary blacksmith completely loses his mind as he realizes this kid's level is. He suspects that our hero is merely faking his weak stats with some high-tier artifact, but Tenma quickly tells him he isn't. The old blacksmith finally understands exactly why Isumi requested that specific artifact. He chuckles, telling the kid that his master is far too good at calculating profits and always demands something in return. Tenma admits he never heard anything about a trade, having only been ordered to guard him. Aiden explains he received. Tenma replies that he does not mind protecting Aiden, even if he gets absolutely nothing. But the old man is more than happy to hand one over, though he still wonders why Asumi wanted a failed creation. Initially, it was designed as an ultimate gear to draw out the maximum possible attack power of any awakener, but out of nowhere, a critical crack appeared, making the rank completely unknown, and glitched with a bizarre. This weird glitched effect forces the user's critical strike rate to completely reset whenever they level up. That makes it completely garbage for any normal hunter. Aiden was deeply confused why Asumi wanted it, but looking at Tenma, the legendary blacksmith realizes our protagonist is truly unique. Aiden has no idea how Tenma actually gains power, but this artifact is a perfect match for a level 0 god who never. As he slays disaster beasts, his critical rate will eventually max out at 100%. Tenma equips his pretty broken critical crystal. But that crit rate only climbs if he beats enemies with higher attack power than his own, which is kind of a tough sell. He decides to. Aiden finds the perfect artifact for Tenma. Tenma tries to thank him, but Aiden insists he just forged it during the battle, so no appreciation is needed. He assures Tenma that those disaster beasts won't raid this remote hideout unless they already know his location. And boom, out of nowhere, a massive green barrier completely seals off the sky. Things just got real. Only the top chiefs and commanders of the 5 continents knew Aiden's coordinates, making him wonder if this. Jose orders everyone to stay back, but Tenma warns him that the disaster beasts are already charging straight toward their. Tenma can feel a massive presence closing in at absolute breakneck speed. The monsters swarm them, and one lunges at Tenma with razor-sharp claws, but he catches the beast. No matter how many low-level beasts attack, Tenma feels completely confident he can easily delete them with a lotus. He thinks that Jose might also be strong enough to survive the lotus blast, but he worries Aiden and Iberia hiding in the cabin nearby might get caught in the collateral damage if he's too reckless. After clearing the small fry, Tenma steps back, only to suddenly sense a much heavier wave of magical energy, while even more beasts rush forward. Elsewhere, Demon King Yamaraja informs his lord that the first. He then asks the lord which of the 8 demon kings should be given command over their primary invasion force. But the demon lord reveals that the eye he left behind during his last visit spotted a highly important target in the human world. Yamaraja asks if this critical mission will also be assigned to one of the 8 demon kings. But the lord believes a demon king would end up destroying his scouting eye, so he decides to assign a demon general instead. As for the main force, he hands command to the ape-eating demon, since that beast hasn't tasted a fresh. Back on the ground, Tenma suddenly hears Iberia's voice close by and wonders if a monster broke into the house. Right on cue, a level 24 horned guardian monster spawns in, ready to scrap. Tenma locks in. It is finally time to stop holding back and unleash the secret skill he has kept on ice. He notices this guardian hits incredibly hard, which is actually a massive win since it will boost his critical rate. According to the system, this broken crystal spikes his crit rate with every hit, resetting upon leveling up. With his strategy ready, Tenma fires his clear orb to test the skill, and a purple energy beam drills straight through the beast. Just like that, his crit rate hits 1%, with everything going exactly to plan. He tells Jose to hold down the fort outside while he handles the pest control indoors, then dashes to the cabin to prevent his buddy from getting spawn killed. Inside, Iberia is pinned to the floor. He's right on the edge of giving up when his dad suddenly drops in, blocking the strike with a giant hammer. Iberia is completely shocked, having always believed his father was merely a regular craftsman. But Aiden doesn't even flinch as the raging monster charges again to finish the old man off. Before it can even touch him, Tenma flashes into the room, driving his full power directly into the monster. Tenma casually apologizes for his late arrival, while the old man immediately asks about the battle outside. Tenma notes that all the magic signatures have vanished, meaning Jose probably wiped the field clean out there. Looking out, they witness the absolute carnage left in his wake, leaving Iberia completely stunned by. Jose is eager to keep this momentum going and solo every remaining monster inside the barrier. But Tenma quickly shuts that down, telling him to stay back and babysit Aiden and Iberia instead. Just look at Tenma's expression right here. Even the old man is stunned by how fearless he is. He is actually starving for a real battle. Seeing that pure hype, Aiden decides to trust him to handle the Jose is pretty worried, knowing a green barrier typically spawns dangerous monsters up to level 26. But Tenma doesn't hesitate for a single second, blasting off toward the barrier like a bolt of lightning. Pumped to finally go all out, Iberia tries to follow, asking Jose to watch his father so he can back up Tenma. He tells him straight up that they live in a completely different world compared to Tenma. Iberia tries to preach about teamwork and watching each other's backs, but Aiden drops a heavy truth bomb calling his son dead weight who would only get in the way. Those words hit Iberia like a train, especially coming straight from his own father. Aiden says basic rules of teamwork do not apply to a monster like Tenma, asking his son if he has ever actually looked. Iberia has no reply. None. He finally realizes just how massive the power gap really is. Meanwhile, at the barrier, the system pings 5 nearby targets and instantly refills Tenma's magic power by 50%. Even surrounded, Tenma does not sweat, casually warning the beasts to get out of his way before they. He fires off a lotus burst, unleashing a massive blast that instantly deletes all 5 targets and bumps his critical rate to 2%. From a distance, Iberia and Jose watch the forest light up and instantly freeze, with Jose realizing the. But get this, it is definitely some broken unique gift he is hiding, and inside the green dome, the vibe changes instantly. They are built way different. His magic radar starts fuzzing out because the barrier acts like a signal jammer, but he recalls his master's green means he is dealing with level 26 to 50 mobs, which honestly just sounds like a massive experience buffet to him. AB rank level 16 Deathhound, patting the good boy while promising the wolf can have all the experience from this run. With that, he marches straight toward the barrier. Dead serious. Every single beast in there is his prey now. Meanwhile, over at a private estate that night, things are getting pretty tense as a young girl tells her father, including a massive guy named Cherry G. McKay, who is a level 63 first-grade savior rocking some heavy armor. The perimeter is supposedly secure. Totally. The daughter is low-key panicking because she cannot reach Heighten, a special-grade savior who ghosted her call 6 hours ago. She worries Heighten ran into monster trouble on the road, but her father brushes it off like the local beasts are just. He insists they absolutely need Heighten, arguing that only a special grade can handle the dangerous monsters coming from the north. However, the armored warrior Cherry is not buying the hype around these special grade elites. Acting pretty arrogant, Cherry claims the gap between first grade and special grade is just a myth, boasting he can. The old man shuts him down fast. Completely delusional. Arguing that his overconfidence comes from never facing a real final boss. But look at this, a giant monolith drops, with Heighten still missing in action. Cherry steps up with some massive main character energy, declaring he will solo this entire wave himself just to show how strong first graders really are. Back inside the green barrier, Tenma and his wolf step into a creepy mirror version of the forest. As a green beam shoots skyward, he realizes the barrier is an isolated dimension because his magic radar only detects. System alert. 5 targets spotted, instantly restoring all of his magical energy. He gives his wolf a quick pat, telling him to hold the entrance like a goalie before sparking up his electric powers to clean house. 2 huge units charge. But Tenma is just way too fast, dodging the first attacker and body slamming the second with his black wall, then finishing them with a shockwave. A massive elite monster steps up. Tenma does not even let it finish its grand entrance. He blasts his clear orbs straight through its head, boosting his critical strike rate to 3%. Defeating the beast, he eyes the green monolith, wondering if one strike would shatter the barrier, but the system. He locks right back in, knowing the true boss is still lurking somewhere in the dark. Out of nowhere, black spikes pierce the ground, nearly skewering Tenma. He barely dodges, realizing if his. Staring toward the giant monolith, he spots the shadow of his attacker hiding right behind it. Instantly realizing this creature is on a completely different level compared to the easy fodder from before. No mindless beast here, this is something much more deadly. Looking from the outside, the massive green barrier looms like a giant dome swallowing up the entire forest. Iberia stands there looking pretty beat up and anxious, terrified he is nothing but dead weight for his friend. Jose tries to give him a serious reality check, explaining that green zones are completely different from the basic gray. While gray beasts just smash things, green barriers can spawn intelligent generals like a level 34 four-horned monster. Jose actually tells him he's not a deadweight because of weakness, but because Tenma is just built completely different. Once inside the dome, our boy is pretty hyped to finally hunt down one of those rumored intelligent monsters. The monster is straight up trash-talking him, mocking his silent prayers and calling him a level 0 coward. It completely mistakes his shaking for pure terror, but Tenma just flashes a dark grin. He's actually just vibrating with pure excitement. Watch this. Tenma starts glowing with massive energy, casually asking the beast if it feels pain. It charges right ahead, swinging those deadly bladed limbs with enough force to literally slice through anything. Channeling his dark lightning, our boy meets the charge head-on with a counter that rips the air open. He thinks he's got this, but things quickly turn sketchy. The monster's mana is actually spiking, and its reflexes are getting. The main issue here is that Tenma's base power is still pretty low, making it so his attacks barely even scratch the monster's incredibly thick hide. The beast is actually slightly impressed by his agility, but brushes him off like an insect, laughing that 100, using his crazy speed to dodge the blades, and using the monster's own limbs to block its incoming attacks. Things are getting wild. He stays completely on defense, challenging the monster to actually land a hit if it's really that strong, leaving it wondering just how much mana he actually has left in the tank. As they trade blinding blows, Tenma notices the creature's antennae are part of its real body, which is exactly why Misa's skill was being weird and not activating. He remains completely focused, dodging the deadly swipes while secretly counting every single strike he manages to. The beast thinks his efforts are completely useless, but with his energy running quite low, Tenma decides to stop. He rapidly increases his attack speed, knowing that just one single critical hit is enough to end this entire clash. Every tiny scratch slowly builds his system's hidden meter, while the monster simply laughs, fully confident. In his rush to build those hits, Tenma gets way too greedy and takes a devastating counter, a sharp tentacle. The monster sneers so much for all that big talk about pain, right? though it secretly respects his high defense stat for even surviving the strike. But just as things look completely hopeless, that's the signal from his crystal, the pity timer is finally up. His very next strike is a guaranteed critical hit. Dumping all his remaining power into a single fist, he drives the impact is absolutely massive. An explosive shockwave completely flattens the surrounding forest. Sent flying, the beast crashes hard. Staring down at its shattered chest and wondering how a level 0 human pulled off a move this insane. Even Tenma is standing over the defeated beast. Tenma is riding a massive wave of adrenaline and deep satisfaction. Despite the pretty nasty wound in his gut, he actually can't feel a single thing. With cold steam rising from his lips and a dark smile, he grabs the creature and asks if it finally understands what real pain. The monster is utterly terrified, calling him a cheater, since his scaling makes absolutely zero sense. Tenma casually notes that the other fodder didn't even get to scream, before ending the beast's life. With the boss dead, his critical rate permanently rises to 4%. The moment his adrenaline fades, the intense pain from his gut hits him like a truck. But he sees the barrier. He slowly limps toward the green monolith, knowing its destruction is his main goal, and smashes it. As the pieces shatter, he collapses onto the grass, completely exhausted. Remembering his companion was left behind to farm experience, he calls for death. When the dark wolf appears, the system alerts him that the wolf leveled up 3 times, gaining 150 points. Proving the beast, Tenma stares at his massive companion with real excitement, already wondering exactly how huge this guy can act. Then, in the dead of night, the massive green barrier finally flickers and fades away, leaving the waiting warriors stunned. Jose watches the massive dome vanish, his expression dead serious. Realizing this rookie just speedran a high-level barrier in 10 minutes flat, a feat that makes Joseph's own stats looking completely trashed and covered in deep wounds, while death stands over him like a loyal bodyguard, watching his master's fading health bar. Pretty crazy, right? Since he is way too drained to walk, Tenma tells his wolf to track their magical trail back to where Iberia. Without missing a beat, the now enormous wolf lets out a howl that echoes through the mountains. Back at the camp, Joseph hears the sound and immediately gets suspicious, wondering why there are still beast noises if the... Joseph goes into full combat mode, telling Iberia to get to safety, but the blonde boy just pauses, recognizing that howl from their earlier scrap. Suddenly, a massive shadow bursts from the trees, and Joseph pulls out his... But Iberia realizes it is death at the very last second. He screams for Joseph to hold his fire, explaining that the giant wolf is actually on their side. Death dodges Joseph's swing with some high-level agility, carefully protecting the unconscious master on its side. Joseph stands there completely confused. He can't wrap his head around how a level 0 player commands top-tier spirits. Seeing that, Iberia sprints over in a total panic. How is his buddy multiclassing with spirit abilities on top of everything? He sees Tenma as basically a total mess of injuries. What kind of monster did he have to fight to end up like this? Tenma manages to mumble a request for some rest before passing out cold, sending Iberia into another round of frantic. Joseph has to step in and play the adult here, pointing out that the kid is still breathing and just needs some serious medical attention. Back at their place, watching his friend lying in bed, Iberia hits a serious moment of deep reflection. Realizing the power gap between them is basically a massive canyon, he thinks about his role as a wind. His specific C-rank gift, Healing Wind, is designed purely for support, but it comes with a major nerf to his own. But seeing his teammate on the brink of a game over, he finally decides to stop being stubborn. He activates the skill, and a soft green aura surrounds him as he pours his magic into Tenma. Even though the healing process looks painful, Iberia keeps at it, quietly begging his friend to pull through so they... Just as things finally cool down, brace yourself. A massive purple barrier drops over the whole region, like a total nightmare spawned by a brand new monolith. A split second later, a devastating attack slices through a building like it is made of paper. Ayumi tries to use her butterfly healing magic to save Cherry, but he screams at her to run for her life. Cherry is staring down a level 81 Minotaur warrior from the Bull tribe. Realizing humanity is basically the armored fighter, Cherry warns their leader, Ayumi, to run. But Ayumi just stands there like a total Hearing that name, the monster gets excited that it found its target so quickly, swinging its massive fist directly at him. As the attack lands, a massive explosion rocks the battlefield, blowing back the glasses-wearing girl as she... However, as the dust settles, Ayumi is barely scratched and casually calls out, complaining that someone showed up pretty... It turns out it is Heighten, who came in clutch and stopped the guy's massive attack with just one hand. He casually apologizes for the laggy arrival, telling the group to step back and let him handle this over... The Minotaur scoffs at the new challenger, but Heighten does not waste any time on a dialogue tree. He throws a punch so devastating it drills a hole straight through the creature's entire upper body. Seeing that, Cherry looks like his jaw is about to hit the floor. Is this what a special class savior actually looks like? Basically, a pure monster in human skin. The young woman starts celebrating, but Heighten shuts it down, warning her that the real boss fight is just starting as the bear... Tucked away in the shadows of the barrier, a red flame demon is watching the chaos with a wicked grin. This guy is a level 37 king, and he is hyped to see how his lord will torment the humans next. He is not alone though. The level 87 demon general tells the white ogre to keep things completely chill, reminding him that their mission is a surgical strike to capture a specific target, not just some random griefing session. The level 87 demon general breaks down their plan, explaining they use these purple and red barriers as a mask. The flame demon looks a bit confused, asking why they were even sent with Lord Siru. The general warns that if all three of them huddle inside one barrier, its purple glow will easily give them away. According to him, the red barrier Lord Su creates is going to lure in strong humans nearby, letting them finish Lord Linga's mission completely unbothered. While they talk, the monstrous beast Lord Su roars. They plan on keeping the top world rankers totally distracted by this red barrier, allowing the demon group to slip away quietly with their ultimate prize. He reveals that Lord Linga is guiding them through a demonic eye planted in the human world, giving them a live 4K feed of their Suddenly, bam! He violently jolts awake like he just got shocked, drenched in sweat with one glowing red eye. Still stuck in his bed, he just cannot shake the heavy, dark vibes of the nightmare about his late mother. In that dream, a younger version of himself was bragging to her about finally finding a monster that could feel real, but his mother's ghost was not smiling. She gently told him that revenge is not the answer, begging him to use his broken abilities to protect his loved ones instead of hunting, screaming that forgiving the monsters who took his parents was a total deal-breaker. With his eyes burning with absolute hatred, he swore to wipe out every single beast in this world. His mother only offered a sad, fading smile as she began to glitch out of the dream, whispering that she had to leave. He desperately tried to grab her hand, but their fingers only brushed for a second before she dissolved into light, leaving him. The mood gets even darker as a creepy, mysterious voice begins mocking him for crying over a dead person. Tenma turns around and comes face to face with his personal nightmare, the actual demon of destruction. This monster taunts him for acting like a whiny kid, which instantly triggers a raging red aura around our boy. He rushes forward to throw a punch, but the demon easily binds him in purple energy, warning him he is about to shatter all over again. His body starts cracking like fragile glass as he keeps screaming that he will erase Linga from existence. Forcing himself back to reality, Tenma gasps heavily for air. His glowing red eyes scan the room, noticing Iberia passed out right beside him. Strangely, a sharp phantom pain, and honestly, you would be overthinking that creepy nightmare too. Right then, he notices his wounds are completely gone, realizing his buddy must have spent the entire... Looking at Iberia knocked out from sheer exhaustion, our boy feels a bit guilty about it. He signals death to keep it down, but the goofy beast lets out a loud roar anyway. That instantly wakes Iberia. Tenma just sits there completely unfazed by his friend's spell, internally thinking that a light feather tickle would probably... Spotting his buddy up and moving, Iberia is absolutely ecstatic, throwing his arms around him and celebrating that his healing magic actually... When asked how long he was out, Iberia says it has only been 3 hours, making Tenma realize that they are even though his loyal partner insists things have been perfectly quiet. Tenma cannot shake the creepy vibes from that dream. He throws on his coat, refusing to drop his guard as they head out. His talkative friend immediately starts suggesting names for the giant wolf. But our boy quickly shuts him down, claiming he is not a real summoner, even though he clearly wants full control. As they step outside, Josuke spots them, pointing out that simple bandages could not have healed those wounds. Hearing this, Tenma is quite surprised to learn his buddy is actually a certified healer. But Iberia quickly brushes it off, claiming he can fight, too. Still, Tenma makes a mental note of it as our boy asks the veteran if their reinforcements have arrived yet, which strikes Joseph as a pretty strange question. He points out that this forest is a literal maze, making travel a total nightmare, but Tenma is not buying that excuse. He is starting to sense a thick, heavy energy creeping through the shadows, feeling like something truly monstrous is. Meanwhile, check this out far away. A squad of reinforcements is desperately sprinting through the woods to reach them. A guy with a ponytail is loudly complaining to his teammate Kobayashi about the boring scenery. But he stays fully hyped, because completing this mission guarantees a massive promotion. Suddenly, a pink, sensing something incredibly wrong, she warns the entire squad to prep for combat because something dangerous is heading their way fast. Right on cue, they spot two shadowy figures who realize their cover is blown and step out from the dark brush. Turns out, it is that flame-haired demon, rolling up with his ugly white ogre sidekick. The fire creep grins like a psycho, asking if they are all heading to the exact same party. Before anyone can move, he conjures up a burning skeleton. He laughs at how weak humans are, boasting that right next to them, the white ogre stands over a crushed soldier he just smashed into the ground. The flame demon mockingly calls his buddy a show-off, making it pretty clear that things are about to get ugly for the reinforcements. The pink-haired girl loses her mind. She screams, demanding to know how these monsters bypassed the protect. He just sneers, lighting up another fireball while bragging about how far his squad marched just to crush her. She bursts into tears of pure hopelessness, trapped in a dead end. Meanwhile, the demon general casually warns the flame creep to keep his hands off his prey. But look at this, out of nowhere, a massive frost blast hits him, freezing him completely solid. The general warns him that this is just a taste, and things will get deadly if he steps out of line. Pissed off, the fire demon explodes out of the ice, though he is secretly terrified of how close he just came to dying. Meanwhile, the terrified girl stands frozen, watching these two monsters show off their insane power against each other. She prays they will just let her run, but the flame demon definitely wants to watch her burn. Instead, the demon general decides to test a dark gift from his master. Pitch-black tendrils wrap around her. Once the dark mist fades, she stands dead still, her eyes masked in shadows, and her presence entirely transformed. The fire demon thinks she is dead. She has not been killed, she has been turned. Her eyes flash crimson. A wicked sigil burns into her forehead, sealing her fate as a brainwashed soldier for their side. The general commands her to return to human territory and act like a traumatized survivor. She must pretend her entire squad got butchered. Once inside, her job is to wait for their support. With her mission set, she melts back into the shadows of the woods to begin her quiet betrayal. The flame demon still does not understand why they are bothering with weaklings. But the leader explains that thousands have already been turned, including top-tier awakened warriors. They will act. The leader cuts off the chatter and orders everyone to move out, reminding them that this plan is their #1. Jump to the second day of the prophecy, where a giant iron golem stands guard over a completely quiet town. Staring up at it, Josei points out that the golem's massive defense will easily make up for their tiny squad as they get ready for the dungeon. Jose asks where Tenma is, and Iberia tells him that the dark-haired swordsman is currently working hard over at the forge. Tenma is geeking out with Iberia's dad about a strange crystal that activated during his last fight. He says that despite starting with a tiny 3% critical hit chance, it climbed to 4% after defeating that giant. The old blacksmith is pretty impressed, noting that pulling off a critical hit with such terrible RNG odds is basically a miracle. But our boy confesses it was about more than just extra damage. He entered a strange flow state where he could. The old craftsman strokes his beard, wondering if this is actually a secret perk triggered by his gear. That crazy feeling where time slows to a crawl and the absolute chaos of a battlefield suddenly feels like a walk in the park. Tenma nods eagerly, confirming that is exactly what it felt like while he was dodging those deadly monsters in the heat of battle. Now this gets the old man sweating. He tells him that he actually entered the legendary flow state in real combat. He explains it is an ultra-rare phenomenon where a fighter gets so incredibly focused that the rest of the world completely. Seeing that the young swordsman is a bit confused by all this, the old man makes it simple. It is like an artist who forgets to eat while painting a masterpiece, or when an awakened hunter accesses this special state, their senses explode, boosting every single stat and skill effect by a massive 120%. Tenma is totally blown away by this, especially since his own master never mentioned that such a crazy boost even exists. The blacksmith warns him that it requires a laser-focused mind and an unbelievable amount of pure luck to pull off. That's exactly why this usually marks the line in the sand separating real geniuses from everyone else. Most people never even glimpse it, and the craftsman admits it took him 2 years of awakening just to enter that zone. So the fact that the boy pulled it off in just 1 month is basically an impossible speedrun record. Suddenly, Tenma's focus shifts. He senses 3 dark, powerful signatures closing in at high. At first, they actually think it might just be the guards, but this energy feels way too toxic, like disaster. The boy sprints out of the workshop to check the perimeter, throwing the door open with a dead serious look, totally ready to. His friends outside are pretty confused by his sudden tension, but he warns them that heavy magical waves mean. Iberia tries to keep it cool, pointing out there is no active barrier and that their iron golem is currently on watch. But that logic shatters instantly when something strikes the golem with blind. Iberia is left speechless. The massive metal giant is pierced straight through the chest, its heavy frame in. Josek is just as stunned. The golem got one tapped before it could even register the threat. Right then, 3 high-level demons, the general and his crew, reveal themselves. No joke, guys, the system confirms it is only day 2 as a suffocating aura takes over. Our boy locks onto them and instantly realizes these guys are on a completely different level than anything in the bear. Magical waves from the leader are the most oppressive thing he has ever felt. The demon leader announces he will personally capture their target, leaving his 2 subordinates to handle the trash under one's. Do not damage the demonic eye under any circumstances. The monsters acknowledge the order, and the human squad is pretty shaken to realize these creatures can actually talk. But Josek doesn't waste a second as he steps to the front, swearing nobody gets past him, and charges the leader with his blade ray. Charging in though, he is already struggling to track his target because the enemy is moving at a glitched speed. Yet, he and Iberia are absolutely committed to keeping these monsters away from their friend, no matter the cost. Suddenly, the shadow demon throws up a massive ice barrier, shutting down Josek's forward charge like a brick wall. Josek slams hard into solid ice. He is totally cut off, and even his best sword swings can't dent them. Right as he's struggling, a massive white ogre suddenly spawns behind him and lets a punch fly. He quickly spins to block, but the raw power behind the hit is insane, sending him flying like a ragdoll. Our boy screams for his teammate, but the fire demon tells him he has no time to worry about others. With a toxic grin, the demon hurls a massive fireball straight at him. Seeing that, our boy tells Iberia a massive explosion. It leaves Iberia in total shock, while Tenma's system immediately starts a rank A copy ability to analyze the flame. But get this, the copy progress is stuck at a measly 1%, and with scorched arms, Tenma realizes he should. The fire demon mocks him for thinking some weak ice could stop his heat, but secretly wonders if he went too hard on the bearer of the. Tenma is struggling on his knees. The demon scans him and starts laughing when he sees his level 0 status. He figures he can easily finish the kid off and ignore the mission entirely since the power gap is just way too massive. But Tenma isn't about to fold, summoning his death hound to even up the odds. The demon just mocks the 2-on-1 attempt, calling the wolf a basic summon and bragging that 10 more beasts wouldn't change a thing. Our boy is putting all his chips on death to pull them through. And when the next explosion goes off, the monster freezes. He notices something pretty sus about that wolf too. It is not just blindly following the boy, but is actually moving directly toward the demon's true objective. While doing that, Tenma thinks that if he plays weak, he could bait the demon into stalling, but he just cannot bring. Instead, his massive aura explodes. Out come glowing red eyes and blue lightning, basically telling the demon he looks pretty mid. The fire demon is absolutely triggered by an inferior creature talking trash and decides he launches another massive attack, but the boy dodges it quite cleanly. Figuring out the demon is just a long-range zoner with average speed. With that read, he decides to close the gap, charging in with everything he has. He completely catches the fire demon off guard with this sudden, aggressive double, leaving the monster genuinely shocked by his speed. Still, the beast remains totally calm, wearing this creepy grin like he's already won. The moment right before it connects, the monster conjures up a blazing fire shield and completely shuts down the attack. Then, he fires a massive blast of concentrated flame straight at his chest, throwing the kid. Tenma struggles to his feet, instantly realizing he fell for a trap. Even the demon is shocked, wondering if he is fighting some high-level monster since no regular level 0 could pop. Bruised and battered, the kid drags himself back up, glaring at his opponent with nothing but raw focus. The fire beast laughs, admitting the kid put on a good show, but tells him to just quit and accept his. But Tenma is just checking his system, watching the power analysis climb up to 81%. If he can just buy a few more minutes, he is golden. Meanwhile, back at the village at 3:14 a.m., he is casually hyping up the blacksmith, calling him the absolute greatest craftsman that humanity has ever produced. The demon asks why he would waste his talent, making it pretty clear that his life will be spared as long as he keeps working, but the blacksmith refuses to play along. He flatly tells the monster he takes orders from nobody and charges with his crafting tools, but before he can even land a blow, completely encased in solid ice. The demon sneers, reminding the old man that he decides who lives and dies here. Hiding behind some ruins, paralyzed with panic that his father is about to be taken, he crouches behind a suit of armor, trembling and unable. Suddenly, Tenma's massive deathhound bursts onto the battlefield. Recognizing the summon instantly, Iberia watches the wolf pounce with raw fury. But the shadow leader doesn't even blink. The boss yells at his minions for letting a stray dog slide by, while the blacksmith realizes some kind of help has finally arrived, even if it is already totally wrecked. From his hiding spot, Iberia watches in absolute horror as a top-tier summon gets taken out without even scratching the boss. Realizing he is way out of his league, his first instinct is to call Tenma. Then his dad's warnings echo in his mind. Calling his friend now would just drag an already wounded guy into a literal, and that's when everything changes. He decides that running like a coward is not an option. He is going to rescue his father on his own, whatever the cost. Remembering the dragon gear his dad built, he realizes that legendary armor is his only real shot at winning. Sure that the gear is hidden beneath his father's bed, praying the old man can survive just a bit longer while he grabs the ultimate weapon. But the shadow bought and just ran off, laughing at how a total coward would abandon the old blacksmith to save their own skin. Without wasting a single second, the demon commands his squad to drag the old man away to their base, leaving the helpless blacksmith frozen solid in ice, completely unable to fight back or escape. Meanwhile, across the map, the fire monster charges up his ultimate move, the red flame bullet, to wipe Tenma out. With a badly burned leg, he uses Black Wall to hide his weakness, and activates Thunderbreaker to push his speed to the He is barely dodging the blasts, but the fire demon can tell that his movements are beginning to slow down. The monster mocks him, asking how long a half-dead kid expects to run from an inescapable, high-tier strike. Things get even worse when Tenma sees the beast raise both hands, gearing up for a massive area of effect. With a loud roar, the beast unleashes a massive barrage of fireballs that rain down like a meteor shower, blocking every escape. His eyes widen as the deadly heat closes in from all sides. He knows his battered body is far too exhausted to dodge this incoming storm. Brace yourselves, because he is about to take a massive hit that could easily end his run right here. Just as his system hit, he grits his teeth through the intense heat, as the bar ticks up to 92, then 94, 98%, right before a massive explosion blasts him backwards, completely swallowing him in the inferno. Tumbling through the air, a tragic memory of his mother burning in blue fire flashes before his eyes, breaking his. The monster smiles, channeling all of its remaining mana into one single, lethal shot to finish the job. But at the absolute last split second, the analysis hits 100%, and a massive blue shield blocks the strike perfectly. That insane collision sends a massive shockwave ripping through the area, leaving the flame demon completely back. Just then, the system announces that his black wall has reached level 3. This upgrade grants Tenma a massive 50-point stat boost and a full heal on the spot. He quickly realizes the demon simply cannot process how its intense flames are not even leaving a single scratch, assuming the boy merely. And the wall? It evolved, forming a massive protective ice lotus right around him. The fire creature struggles to regain its composure, but then it stops dead in its tracks, its eyes widening with pure shock as it realizes the boy is back to 100. He stands tall, fully healed, looking like he never even took a single hit. Tenma locks eyes with the beast, and lets it know that while his original plan was to save Aiden first, those flames just. And because of that, he has decided to completely delete this demon right here and now. His eyes glow red with absolute rage, as he swears to crush the monster straight into the dirt. Not far away, Jose gets launched clear across the forest floor, landing hard after a brutal hit that he barely managed. He knows the truth. Without those reflexes, he would be sent to the lobby. Even with the block, that force was enough to leave him struggling to stand, desperately trying to catch his. He is genuinely stunned by how far he just got yeeted, realizing these are not your basic mobs and he needs to regroup. Suddenly, boom! A massive explosion completely cuts off his vision. Through the haze, he sees that same beast charging him with its tongue out, looking like a total nightmare. But instead, his eyes burn red. He vows to end this fight fast to reach the workshop. Inside that very workshop, Iberia is desperately searching for some kind of buff to flip the script. He shoves his arm under the furniture until his fingers finally manage to snag the dragon gear, letting out a shout of pure. This epic item grants a massive plus 100 to both attack and agility for a 15-minute window. He snaps the red armor on. Pure power surges. He swears he will carry his own weight this time instead of. Still, he keeps his dad's warning in mind. The armor is dangerous, and that 15-minute timer is a hard. That warning just makes him move even faster as he sets a personal mission to get his old man out of this mess. Meanwhile, the Shadow General stands mockingly over the frozen blacksmith, laughing at him for thinking escape was ever an option. The villain brags that the only real threats to their plan, and since the strongest human warriors are currently busy fighting the Demon Lord, there is absolutely nobody left. Trapped inside his icy prison, the blacksmith quietly wonders if they really went through all this immense trouble. The Shadow General coldly tells him not to get a big head, explaining that he is just one tiny piece in a much larger global plot. But right as the demon is feeling smug, wait, look at this, someone is blitzing through the trees at high speed. Out of nowhere, Iberia comes blasting right, moving so incredibly fast that he is almost a blur, charging straight for the demon in a desperate attempt to shatter. The general notices. He looks visibly annoyed, complaining that these annoying humans just keep getting back up, no matter how many times they get beaten down. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Tenma is standing tall on his ice lotus flower, looking like he just stepped out of a spa. Trying to figure out the logic here, the beast literally watched the boy get turned into a crispy snack. Not a single scratch. He stands there completely unharmed, refusing to accept that the kid just hit the respawn button on his health bar. The demon decides that no matter how many times, it unleashes a wild barrage of fireballs, raining them down in every direction to try and delete him for good. But Tenma, letting the explosions throw heat and dust everywhere while the demon cackles, completely convinced that it is finally. But when the dust finally settles, the guy walks right out completely unharmed. With the system announcing another sweet without even slowing down, he activates Thunderbreaker, surging forward with a burst of electricity that makes. He is lightning fast, moving even quicker now, blitzing straight through the fire barrier like it is not even there. With a dark, focused gaze, he launches himself forward like a shadow, hitting the demon's protective shield with a punch so heavy that the barrier. As Tenma unleashes a furious battle cry, his resistance stats shoot up another 15%. And that is when the demon starts sweating. He checks Tenma's defense stat and nearly loses it as the number shatters past 600 points, completely insane for a human. Realizing this level 0 kid is basically a raid boss in disguise, the demon's survival instincts instantly kick in. Terror takes over as he turns around, bolting through the forest while screaming bloody murder for backup. But escape is impossible as Tenma catches up and pins him down, turning the once mighty beast into a begging mess that Tenma. Staying completely cold, he ignores the pathetic whimpering and charges an unbelievable amount of destructive. Just then, a system notification guarantees his next hit is a critical strike, leaving the demon wondering who the real. Tenma launches forward with lightning crackling in his wake. The punch lands with such devastating force that the ground shatters, blasting the entire area into a massive cloud of dust. When the smoke finally clears, our hero looks down at the absolute wreckage from high above. It is over, but he is actually pretty annoyed, because he really wanted to make that demon suffer a bit longer. Suddenly, a realization hits him. He slipped right back into that legendary flow state the second his critical strike connected. He begins to wonder if there is some hidden connection between those critical hits and the hyper-focus he keeps tapping into. Glancing at his system screen, he notices his total stats have officially crossed the 2,000 mark. It is an incredible milestone that pretty much places him in an entirely different league. Right then, the slain demon's soul shatters into 2 glowing green karma energy forms, zipping away through the trees. Tenma watches them go, noticing that one energy orb flies toward Joseph, while the other streaks. He is slightly confused, figuring they probably should have split up since both Death and Aiden are waiting over there. Refusing to waste time overthinking, he sparks his lightning and storms off at full speed, because if that energy. Back at the workshop, the situation is looking pretty grim as the Shadow General blocks Iberia's attacks. Meanwhile, things get worse. Even with the dragon armor pushing him to his absolute limit, Iberia sees his strongest hits dealing 0 damage, yet he refuses to quit, swearing to spam his moves until the beast finally breaks. The Shadow General remains totally unimpressed, treating the boy like a minor annoyance even while encased in solid ice. Iberia's father screams at his son to remove the dragon gear, going as far as threatening to disown him out. But Iberia is already locked in, knowing that if Tenma were here, he would make the exact same ride or die play. Ignoring his father's desperate pleas, he leaps from a terrifying height, diving straight at the foe with every single drop of mana left in his tank. As the Shadow General watches this emotion, with one casual gesture, he uses ice magic to snipe the boy out of the sky. Just like that, Iberia gets completely frozen mid-air, locked in place, unable to move. The exact same spell, the exact same helpless defeat, as the smug demon prattles on about knowing your place. Now here is the crazy twist. The system warns that his dragon armor has only 3 minutes of power remaining. But instead of freezing up, the wolf suddenly levels up. Jumping straight from 19 to 20, it shatters right through its icy prison, emerging stronger and ready to tear apart. Tenma quickly realizes that the wolf actually absorbed the green karma sphere from the fire demon he recently destroyed, but his celebration is cut short. He spots a strange purple glow as waves of dark, intense magic start leaking out from a nearby cavern. Without wasting another second, Tenma charges straight inside, refusing to wait for Jazz. Meanwhile, even with its hand gone, the creature lunges forward, forcing Joseph to slide backward quickly to dodge the massive claws and reset his stance. The warrior glances at the deep wound he carved earlier, realizing in shock that the monster has already fully healed it. He is pretty shook because the sheer regeneration speed of this beast is actually unreal. Joseph has scrapped with plenty of high-tier threats before, but this insane healing factor makes the monster. Spotted a glowing karma sphere nearby. He locks in, completely set on taking down this wind solo. He lunges forward, aiming for the finish. But the beast is smart enough to cross its arms, tanking the hit right in front of its weak spot. Joski lands. He realizes those arms are the only thing keeping this monster in the game. If he can destroy that defense, the core is wide open. He flashes a confident, sharp smirk, the kind charging right back in. He unleashes a relentless flurry of slashes at its chest. But his goal is not the kill. Not yet. He systematically shreds both of its arms. He has already calculated the math. This monster needs exactly 1 full second to regenerate after a heavy hit. And that single second is all the window he needs. With eyes burning, he loads his raw rage into one final, devastating. A trail of crimson energy slices through the air, striking the monster's core dead on and finally putting it down. Catching his breath, Joski admits that fight was a complete sweatfest, and going against a healbot is incredibly exhausting. As the smoke clears, he knows there is no time to rest. He has to meet up with Tenma and prepare for the next wave. Meanwhile, things have gone from bad to absolute worse for the blacksmith. The Shadow General has him The old blacksmith only has a single request left. He begs the demon to spare his son and keep the boy out of this mess. But the Shadow General has zero interest in a no-kill run. He tells the old man that he is about to lose his free will, becoming nothing more than a puppet on a... But get this, he drops some absolutely terrifying lore about the boy's armor. He recognizes the gear as a relic of the dragon tribe, explaining that their life force does not just vanish when they die. The longer anyone wears that armor, the more that leftover dragon soul eats away at the wearer's mind, until their entire body is taken over by a real dragon. This kid is completely geeking out over how much he admires Tenma, which actually catches Joski a bit off guard. He asks why the kid is so focused on him when there are plenty of other legendary... Joski even mentions a few legendary fighters they both know, pointing out that he actually has a bigger reputation than the boy might realize. Iberia goes completely quiet, realizing he does not have a scripted answer ready. He stands there. That quiet moment really sticks with the kid, making him realize his deep admiration for Tenma was just always there in the background, like a permanent buff he never once... 10 years ago, young Iberia was running around with pure main character energy, swinging a wooden toy like it... His mother watches him with a warm smile, asking if he likes his new birthday gift. And the boy is completely obsessed. He even gives the toy sword a heroic name, proudly declaring that he will become a real. He sprints off to show the other kids while his father watches from the sidelines, silently wondering if his son actually. But that pure hype does not last. And just watch how fast this wholesome moment turns into toxic lobby territory as he shows off his pride and joy. The other kids are clearly jealous, and one of them demands to inspect the wooden sword up close. Young Iberia senses the hostile vibes and grips his toy tightly, but the bullies quickly close in, mocking him because his dad is a blacksmith who can easily make another. The boy wants to stand his ground, but the fear is too. Hiding his tears behind a forced smile, the boy slowly hands over his beloved sword. And those bullies just laugh, running off with their stolen prize. Looking down from above, he stands there biting his lip in silence, furious at himself for being too terrified to stand his ground. He eventually wanders back to the workshop, where when his mother asks if he had a fun time, he hits her with a complete lie, claiming everything was great just to keep her from worrying. But of course, she goes quiet while his father, who clearly knows what actually happened, asks where his training sword went. His mother is ready to go full mom mode to get it back, but the blacksmith stops her. He points out that he slams his heavy hammer down, frustrated that his own son does not even have the courage to ask for help when things get rough. He is not trying to be mean, but he is clearly worried his son is just way too passive for his own good. Months fly by, and the next memory reveals young Iberia sobbing his eyes out in a cold hospital hallway. His eyes flicker with a faint golden light. Meanwhile, his dad completely loses it, grabbing a doctor's coat. From inside the room, his mother faintly whispers his name in a voice that is barely audible. The boy rushes to her side. He grips her hand like his life depends on it, begging her not to go. She speaks to her son one final time, telling him that even if his father calls him a coward, she knows he is actually just a soft soul with a genuinely kind heart. But then she delivers a heavy truth: kindness without strength is dangerous, because eventually, being too weak to, she tells him he must level up for real, growing strong and truly brave for the moments when it actually counts. She begs him to look after his dad, absolutely 100% sure he is going to be a legendary awakened warrior. Suddenly, the monitor flatlines. The boy breaks. Weeping, he promises her he will become the absolute. Returning to the present, Iberia reflects on the very first time he crossed paths with Tenma. Honestly, the guy's power was so absurdly high it was straight up terrifying, making the boy assume he would just be enough. But as they spent more time side by side, he realized Tenma was built completely different. He had watched him solo hundreds of elite awakened ones and stand down disaster-class beasts without even blinking. Beneath his incredibly tough exterior, Tenma always found a way to help others, showing a quiet warmth most people. Eventually, Iberia admits it out loud to Jose. The only reason he is grinding so hard is to follow the path this legendary. Looking at Jose with absolute determination, he admits Tenma is the exact kind of legendary awakened warrior he is. But then his confidence drops, and he confesses he feels completely talentless and like a total coward who could never act, even with blood covering his face. He smiles through the blood, saying fighting side by side with Tenma is enough. But watch this. The dragon armor completely takes control, transforming Iberia into a full-on monstrous dragon beast. Before he can even react, a very familiar voice calls out his name. He turns around, and there is Tenma. Tenma spots him from a distance and calls out, reminding him that he was literally told not to use that dragon gear. But then he notices thick smoke pouring out of his mouth and quickly realizes something is seriously wrong here. His movements are bizarre, and he does not look human anymore. Suddenly, the dragon boy's eyes flash. So, Tenma asks what he is trying to say and where his father is. But out of nowhere, the beast roars. But Tenma reacts in time. He catches his wrist, screaming at him to snap out of it. Shoving the giant beast back, they lock eyes for a brief moment, almost as if Iberia is desperately. Suddenly, the system pings that Windblade is active, and bright blue energy starts crackling violently around the beast's claws. He fires off an air slash so incredibly powerful it completely erases everything in its path. Tenma, just as the devastating strike is about to connect, he dodges, realizing it is a high-level wind elemental skill. Now, he is not even sure if it is just the armor controlling him, or something far worse. In that split second, he activates Thunderbreaker, deciding the only way to save his friend is to knock. The armored beast charges forward at full force, and they crash together. Even while struggling against the intense, he cannot understand it. Why is his own teammate trying to kill him? That's when he hears a faint, muffled voice from inside the monster. It sounds like Iberia is begging him to be put. The horrific realization hits him hard, But before he can even move, the monster lets out a deafening roar and swings violently. Just as the blow is about to land, Jose suddenly steps in and deflects the strike, saving his life. With a massive shove, Jose sends the beast flying backward and takes charge, grimly stating that this is the app. As they talk, the speed-blitzing monster starts circling around them in a terrifying blur. Jose then reveals the grim truth: the armor did not just boost Iberia's power, it has completely taken over his entire body. When Tenma suggests tearing the armor off, Jose immediately shuts him down, explaining that it is fused directly with no hesitation. He declares the only option left is to kill the beast. He orders Tenma to step back so he doesn't have to watch, but the young warrior refuses. Stepping forward, he stops. Instead, he tells Joski to hunt down Aiden's trail and save anyone trapped by that freezing monstrosity. Joski agrees, but warns him that if the creature slips away. As Joski leaves with the wolf, the young boy blocks the beast's heavy charge. The monster strikes back with sharp wind blades, cutting down everything in its way. As they clash, the boy realizes something crucial: his friend is still alive in there, holding back and clearly refusing. Right then, the beast pools its magical energy, unleashing a terrifying 1,000 wind blades attack, raining claw-like slashes toward Tenma, who doesn't move a single muscle. And get this, the crazy kid sharp winds tear through him, splattering blood everywhere, even trapped inside his monstrous form. Meanwhile, deep within the Shadow Realm, a demon general kneels before Lord Linga, reporting that they finally have Aiden in custody. But the price was... Linga does not even blink at those dead soldiers, as long as their high-value target is secured. The general then drops some shocking details about Lord Siru, the massive behemoth currently struggling in his... Linga brushes it off at first, assuming Siru was just a simple decoy anyway. But his jaw drops when he hears that Siru is actually being held back by a single special-grade human warrior. Linga demands a name, and the general reveals it is Heighten, the man rumored to have the absolute tankiest, strongest... Back on the chaotic battlefield, Heighten just tanked Siru's massive slam head-on like an absolute boss. Even with his physical wounds fully recovered, he has never witnessed a clash this insanely savage up close. But Siru is not slowing down, swinging his giant arms with enough kinetic force to completely erase the earth. The girl tries to charge in to assist, but Izumi holds her back, reminding her that Heighten is far too tough to go down from simple swings like... He warns her to never underestimate a special-grade fighter. Right on cue, Siru's massive fist is forced back. Izumi thinks back to Heighten's legendary second transformation, and just hearing the crazy hype surrounding it leaves his... Suddenly, Heighten goes completely Super Saiyan. His aura completely shifts as his combat stats skyrocket beyond all limits. But here's the crazy part. Before Izumi can even finish explaining the actual name of this ultimate form, Heighten launches off the cracked earth, blasting straight through the giant monster's chest, and leaving a gaping, landing behind the falling colossus. He doesn't even look back, acting like a complete Chad. As the giant beast crashes down, the girl wonders where he is sprinting off to, but she is amazed that even in a mindless, berserk state, he still remembers their primary mission. Izumi points out that if Heighten could not separate friend from foe, he would not deserve to be called a... With one punch, Heighten totally obliterates the stone stele, and as it crumbles, his eyes fade back to normal. He glances around, completely dazed by his surroundings, and sighs with deep regret upon realizing he let himself... As the heavy barrier begins dissolving, the squad starts celebrating, but Izumi takes a quick, quiet moment to call out. He reminds her that she was practically prepared to sacrifice her own life to save Heighten earlier. She looks down, a bit embarrassed by his comment, but immediately changes the subject to Tenma's front lines, praying that the rest of their companions are successfully holding the line. Meanwhile, utterly baffled as to why Tenma did not even attempt to evade that last devastating attack. Tenma, however, took that hit on purpose, feeling like raw physical pain is the only remedy that can... He walks straight up to the beast and fires his glowing clear orb straight into its chest like a high-velocity magical bullet. The pure energy tears through the dark corruption, causing the heavy dragon armor to break apart and shatter completely. Inside lies Iberia, a bloody, beaten mess, weeping and sobbing with everything he has left. He quietly confesses that he only donned that monstrous armor because he was tired of being useless, dead. Instead, their goal was to turn him into a mindless puppet. With an expression of cold, unyielding stone, Tenma promises his dying friend that as his body begins to fade away, Iberia hears those reassuring words and smiles, leaving the fate of the world in Tenma's case. Thus, the second day of the dreaded prophecy draws to an end. With Iberia dead, Lord Linga smiles in the shadows, thrilled to have eliminated someone so close to Tenma. Far out in the deep forest, Cherry feels pretty confused about their current mission. He just cannot understand why they are still escorting Isumi deep into the mountains when the main threat is already dead. This escort was supposed to be Heen's job, but his maniac transformation left him complete. Now the remaining squad has to pick up his slack. But mid-hike, Isumi's daughter suddenly halts the group. They look up. A mysterious shadow stands there, cradling a limp body. Nobody recognizes him at first, but getting closer, Isumi's daughter realizes it is actually Tenma. The whole vibe is cold sweat breaks across her face just looking at him, wondering what kind of absolute nightmare could leave him look. But check this out before Tenma can even speak. Joke steps out from the shadows to explain the disaster. Isumi recognizes the veteran fighter right away, but gets confused since he was supposed to be guarding Aiden. Joe quietly admits they just took a devastating loss. Things ended in the worst way imaginable, leaving half of the Aiden is gone, taken by demons, and his young son is dead. He explains how he tried to follow the magic trail, but the enemies were playing absolute chess. The demon general scattered decoys everywhere to mask its scent. Isumi asks about Tenma's injury. She can feel an intense, burning fury radiating off him that is deadlier than anything she has ever felt. Sometime later, Tenma sits in total isolation, staring down at an old childhood photo of Iberia with her family. His mind drifts back to the very first day they met, playing back their entire shared journey leading to this moment. It is heavy. But he finally pulls himself together and summons his wolf companion. A system notification blares, showing his loyal beast has officially crossed level 20, with some serious. The squad is battered and broken, but Tenma is clearly preparing to walk a path of absolute war. Rising to his feet, Tenma looks ready to break the entire world, swearing to hunt down that disaster beast. Right then, the rest of the squad slides into the room, and the heavy tension in the air is practically suffocating. Cherry, tagging along, suddenly realizes this kid is Isumi's second disciple, and is rumored to be a terrifying monster. Seeing him prepare to leave, Isumi demands to know where he is going, and Tenma does not mince his words. He is leaving, but Isumi shuts him down right away with a harsh refusal. Isumi explains that the Salvation League has officially classified this crisis as a special grade threat. To join the mission, Tenma must prove himself as at least a second-grade savior, making the boy's temper flare from 0 to 100. Furious, he screams that he does not even have the right to help despite promising his dying friend he would save them. No turning back. He warns them that if they block him, he will simply go anyway. The room goes dead silent as they hear him snap at the master. But Isumi freezes him in place, asking if he is He drops a massive reality check, reminding Tenma that they only lost Aiden because they assumed the demons were. Even so, Isumi reassures him that the enemy will not kill Aiden after taking so much trouble to capture him. But he warns Tenma that his current strength is nowhere near ready for this kind of final boss nightmare. If he succeeds, if Tenma can surpass that special grade level, Isumi promises to personally petition the League to hand the entire operation over to him, but achieving that requires joint absolute juggernauts like Heighten and Tivajan. They endured this training to become the ultimate shields of humanity, and the next brutal cycle begins in just 3. The Master makes it clear that surviving this hellish camp is his only ticket to reaching a special class rating. Tenma agrees to the terms, but the team first insists on patching up his severe wounds. Isumi's daughter steps forward, utilizing her specialized butterfly spirit to initiate the treatment. While she works, he expects her to judge his plan, but her face holds nothing but genuine, raw worry. Although her father believes it fits him perfectly, she warns that the camp is historically just a graveyard for promising genius. Prodigies who dominated their entire lives enter that facility, only to crawl out with their spirits complete. Look at him, he doesn't even blink. He realizes slaughtering weak, low-tier beasts will never force his mimicry skill to evolve. He leans in close to her. He reminds her that dealing with huge threats is just what an awakened does, then notices her face is turning bright red from using. She gets super flustered, claiming her body temperature is just rising from the skill, but he is already totally. Throwing his coat back on, he heads straight for the door, telling her with a dead serious look that he is. Tenma heads right into the quiet forest where they built Iberia's grave, finding Jose already standing there, paying. And the veteran takes a moment to apologize to the kid for making him deliver that final fatal blow to his own. Tenma assures him that everything is fine, revealing his plan to join the Apex camp so he can eventually hunt down the disaster. When Tenma asks about Jose's next move, the old veteran gets a little bit sentimental, explaining that his master gave him absolutely everything, his sword, his skills, and even his life, so he will find him no matter. Tenma stops him with a fist planted right in front of his face, promising that once he levels up, they will save. Jose gladly agrees, and the two of them share a solid fist bump to seal the deal. Watching them from a distance, Izumi is genuinely amazed by how fast Tenma recovered, but Ayumi points out that the boy, he has just buried all that dark, negative energy deep down so he can unleash it later when it actually counts. With that, Izumi departs for a massive meeting with commanders from every continent, leaving she is feeling pretty proud of her new guardian role, but Tenma immediately calls her out, demanding to know where they are heading. She tries to keep things super classified and mysterious, but eventually she points the way toward Nakase, letting him know they are heading straight there to join the Apex camp, and he doesn't hesitate to follow her. Meanwhile, that red-haired punk, Rei, is having straight-up nightmares about the time Tenma absolutely destroyed him. He wakes up screaming, covered in bandages like an absolute mummy, while his mother tries her best to calm him down, asking if he is still dreaming about the monster who broke him, and he confirms it while swearing he will get his revenge. But his mother tells him to relax, because his big brother is finally here to handle things. Right on cue, a massive powerhouse of a guy steps from the shadows, asking if the person who hurt his. Just hearing that name makes the kid spiral, screaming about how Tenma took first place in the preliminary matches. The big brother just starts grinning like a total maniac, knowing damn well that Tenma will definitely show up at the Apex camp, and he looks completely ready for war, promising to absolutely crush Tenma once they cross.